Hi, I'm Erin Naoma,
And I'm Travis Harrison.
and you are watching
K-Pod Stars.
Kpodstars!
This is K-Pod Stars, where we talk about K-pop and K-dramas and Asian things that we enjoy.
Yeah.
This last week, I made Erin watch Itaewon Class on Netflix because I enjoyed it until the last little bit, but we'll get into that. But I enjoyed
I
it.
actually liked the last little bit.
I just thought it was weird. We'll get to it. I'll explain why. But I watched it before her. I really liked it, and I was just like, these characters feel real and cool, and like not like any of the other shows that I've watched, K shows I've watched before. But I think it was mostly because all of the other ones that I've watched were like supernatural dramas, and so people were just not.
Ghosts!
Yeah, they weren't super realistic anyway. Um, but it was just I don't know. I usually don't like straight up, regular dramas unless there is some sort of like weird supernatural or sci-fi thing going on to it.
You
So like,
got a little bit of that in the last few episodes.
well, not supernatural or sci-fi. It was just like, well, suddenly it's 5 years later.
No, that's not what I'm talking about, but I can't talk about just
Well,
yet.
we'll
Just
talk
yet.
about it.
We'll talk about that soon. But yeah, I agree. I understand. I love dramas. I think they're great. But I do tend to also go for supernatural stuff because I love it.
So how did you enjoy the show?
Okay. So, I really liked it.
Mhm.
The character development, I think, was extremely well done. I also think that they chose the absolute correct actors for each role. They did a wonderful job with casting. Like, even the people that were supposed to be family members looked alike. And I was like, perfect!
Mhm.
Perfect! You guys did it! But, I really liked the show. Uh, did we say what show it was? Itaewon Class?
Itaewon Class.
Itaewon. The main character is Shiori. And I like how much of a stand-up guy he is. Well, let's explain the story for just a second.
Yeah.
So, Shiori goes to a new school, and there's an asshole in the back that's bullying a little kid, and Shiori can't handle that. He doesn't like bullies. He wants to be a police officer, and he believes 100% in justice and treating people fairly. So everyone else is sitting there just like really quiet and just like annoyed that it's happening again, that this kid's being
Yeah.
bullied in the back.
Because the kid is the son of a CEO of like the biggest food company in
Mm-hmm.
Korea.
And he's
So
very
like
powerful.
so they don't want to say anything because they know that he could ruin their lives.
Yeah,
So like
in their families' lives.
they just let the kid get bullied.
Mm-hmm. There's actually a girl that he meets a little earlier named Sua,
Hmm.
and
I don't know. Does he meet her or do they just know each other? Because she says that his dad is like a dad to her also. So I don't know.
she didn't know him.
Okay.
They met at the train station or the bus station, whatever station they were at. They
Well,
met there when
Sison.
that guy, the little station. There was like a homeless guy that was like begging Sua for money and grabbed her arm, and she like yelled at him and was like, "Leave me alone!" and then left. And oh yeah, and she knocked him over. And
Bitch.
Shiori saw that and was like, "Oh no, oh, I'm gonna be a cop one day." So he helps the guy up, and then he yells at Sua, and that's their first meeting where he's like, "Hey, you can't do that shit." So yeah, so they are seated next to each other in the classroom, and the kid's being bullied in the back, and Shiori is getting really fumed right now, and he starts to stand up, And Sua is like, you need to let this go because that's your dad's boss's son. And it's gonna ruin both of your lives. You need to let it go. And then, Guan, which is the bully, pours some milk on the little nerd guy's head. And, Seori can't take it anymore and he goes to the back and he punches him.
Yeah.
Yeah! But that's after giving Guan several chances to stop what he was doing.
Yeah, he's like, hey, please stop, because I'm gonna punch you. And he's like, I'm rich, whatever.
He's like, you don't know the power I hold. But then, he punches Guan, and they go to the principal's office, and oh yeah, and I forgot that the teacher like completely ignored him being bullied in the back as well because
the teacher's also scared.
he's terrified. So they go to the principal's office and they blame everything on Seori. And they call in Seori's dad, and they call in Guan dad. And Guan dad, which is Chairman Chang.
Dang, yep.
And he's like, well, I'll make sure they don't kick you out of school if you get down on your knees and apologize to my son and beg for his forgiveness. And Seori's like, no.
Yeah, I did nothing wrong. Your son's a jerk. No thanks.
No, thank you. So, I feel like they did the best way of introducing what this character's motivations are like with just that little thing just right in the beginning. You know what to expect from him the entire time in the show.
Yeah.
Because of what we just saw. So, he decides to, well, okay, Chairman Chang is all like, what do you think of this? Talking to Seori's dad. And he's like, well, I think I'm proud of my son. So, I resign. And, so that's what happened there.
Yeah.
And then they were going to open a restaurant. And then, so, Seori's dad, I can't think of his actual name. Do you remember?
I don't remember. They only call him... What's Seori's last name?
Mr. Park.
Park.
That's
So they only call him Mr. Park the whole time. I mean, they probably say it, but they usually say Mr. Park.
Yeah, so we'll call him Mr. Park. So Mr. Park's all excited, and I'm sitting there, and I was like, I texted Travis, and I was like, Travis, this guy is too nice.
Yeah.
He's the dad of the main character. He's gonna die.
They're gonna Uncle Ben him. They're gonna be like, he's going out for some. Hey Peter, I'm gonna go get some groceries.
Right? So I texted Travis, and I was like, so this guy's gonna die. And he's on a motorcycle right now. And, I have to pause it to go do something else. I really look forward to coming back and then just seeing his death.
And, you did.
Yeah. So I came
ASMR.
back.
I'm pouring a drink right now.
Ooh.
Can you hear it? Can you hear it?
Ooh, yes, I can.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me do an ASMR real quick, too. I don't know. Can people hear that? I don't know if they can. Ugh.
Delicious.
But anyway, so I went and I did something, I came back, and then I was like, well, here we go. So I pushed play, and then, what do you know? Guy's having a great time, thinking about how proud he is of his son. He's like, this is amazing, my kid is so cool. He's the best thing I've ever seen.
Some groceries for my restaurant I'm going to open up someday.
With my son. So he's on his little motorcycle, and all of a sudden, he's hit by a car.
I know, it's like violent too. It's like
super violent.
It's like camera on his face the entire time, blood smacking into the camera. Like, whoa, like what? What kind of show is this?
I closed my eyes. I can't handle that. Because number one, He was really nice. Number 2, I have PTSD from a car accident.
Yeah, I mean, same, but like I can separate myself for a TV show, but that was more graphic than I was expecting, to be
Right?
honest.
So the only part that I saw was whenever he was laying on the ground, there was just blood gushing from his head, and I loved how they rubbed in the fact that he was such a good guy by having him reach for a photo of his son in him, and
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I was like, why are you pouring salt on this wound?
Hmm.
Why are you hurting me? And then the camera pans up while he's laying there on the ground dying, and who do you see? Kwon freaking Won.
Yeah. And then like so then, next day it's his funeral or whatever, and then Saroi and Sua are there, and Sua's there because like she's like I said, she thinks of Mr. Kim like a dad also because like I guess she was an orphan,
Mm-hmm.
right? And she lived at the orphanage that the company sponsored, and
Right.
so he treated her like a daughter, and he's going to pay for her college. And so she's at the funeral too, and the cops show up and they're like, "Hey, this is the car that hit your dad." And so she looks at the car and she recognizes it because it's from, is it Ginwan? He hits on her all the time, and he's like, "I have this ultra rare car with this special license plate," and she's like, "This is his car. He's got a special license plate
Yep.
because he told me."
And I've seen it. So then, Chairman Chang, he finds out that Siori is going to get the cops involved and get his son charged with hit and running his dad. Chairman Chang is like, no, that's not gonna happen. So Chairman Chang blames it on someone else and
Yeah.
gets them put in jail. Siori finds out that Guan Wan is going to be getting off scot-free, completely flips out, goes to the hospital where the asshole is, and beats the ever-living daylights out of him. And is about to kill him with a rock.
Mm-hmm.
When the cops show up with
The
Suha.
cop and Sua, and she's like, "No, don't lose. You're breaking my heart." Like it's Padme or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like Padme. Why? But I gotta tell you, like, Suha says the right thing to get him to stop. Like, she's like, your dad would not want you to do this. Why are you gonna throw your life away and go to jail for probably forever just to get back at this guy?
Mm.
And she gets through to him, and he drops the rock. And I was so annoyed at this point because Siori is sitting there bawling his head off and is in so much turmoil, and no one goes over to comfort him. Like, Sua, who is supposed to be like a family friend,
Yeah.
and at this point they had started really hanging out with each other and getting to know each other, and Siori has already said that he liked her, and like it really roasted my popcorn. It really burned my griddles. It made me upset that no one went to hug him, especially Sua. So that immediately put a really bad taste in my mouth for Sua because, again, I think that
Yeah.
completely shows her character of what you're gonna see the entire season.
I mean, I do agree. I feel like from like a real person standpoint, like this crazy person that you barely know just beat the shit out of someone in the rain, and you're just like, I can see why nobody comforted him, and at the same time, also Sua, like you said, that sets up her character because she
Mm-hmm.
cares about him, but she's also cold and she's also a little selfish, and she's thinking of what's going to benefit her while at the same time being
Yep.
conflicted on whether it's right
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. So I think that is a small character moment for her anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
It is, and it shows that she's always just kind of in the background whenever he's going through awful
yeah,
things. Like, she's never actually in the forefront
she's
helping him.
she's observing.
Mm-hmm.
She's seeing what she can do, like that will benefit her in the long run.
Exactly. which really annoys me. But anyway, so Shiori is taken to jail because, oh wait, so Chairman Chang is like, I'll let you go if you get on your knees and apologize to me and my son. Again, at the police station. And he's like, F you! I'm not doing it! He's like, I'll see you guys in 4 years after I get out of jail. And, the cop that was in charge of his case hid what actually happened, even though he knew that it was Gwon Won that did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is it Gyun? Gyun-Won? I can't remember.
I thought it was Jinwon or Gwen. I don't know.
Gyun-Won? Geun? Yeah, it's Gyun.
Guys,
Gyun.
I'm probably gonna say some names like a country trash. I really want to be like Saroye. It's gonna happen.
No.
Siore.
Siore.
I thought it was Saroye.
Siori? Whatever.
It's a name.
It's a name.
We'll be saying it.
Hyun-Chi. Tony. I can say Tony.
Tony?
And then, Yuseo. Yeah, Yuseo.
I thought it was just Yuseo. Yuseo?
Yuseo.
That just sounds like hello. Yuseo!
That's, 안녕하세요.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the whole beginning of Itaewon Class.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely sets up everything really, really well. Like, you know how you watch certain shows and you're like, really, where is this going? This one, you know in the very first episode what is up and what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, Shiori gets put in jail. And he meets these, like, gangster guys, and he's put in the same cell with them, and they beat him up.
Yeah.
Because, and then he starts laughing about it. Like,
and they're like, oh my god, he's crazy! Punch him some more!
This'll fix it!
He's laughing, and they're like, well, I guess he doesn't care about being punched, so fine.
They were like, well, this isn't as satisfying as I wanted.
No.
So, so yeah, that's the whole first episode. A lot happens, and
The first 2 episodes. Because, like, the first 2.5 episodes are all backstory.
yes. Oh yeah, you're right. It is first 2, but yeah, it perfectly sets up what's going to happen. So, Fiore gets it in his head that he's going to take down Chairman Chang.
Yeah. By building a rival pub
Exactly.
and becoming a giant restaurant corporation. And he does it by reading Jang's book so he can use his thoughts against him.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's called knowing your enemy.
no, yeah. But at the same time, during the time when he's at prison, like in the first year, like Suwa gets approached by Mr. Jang, and he's like, "Hey, girl, I'll pay for your college." And she's like, "Do you want me to like lie in court?" And he's like, "No, I'm just gonna," because he's like playing mind games. He's like,
Of course.
"I'll play mind games with you," and she's just like, "Well, okay, I'm gonna take free money because Suwa."
That's her.
She's
She cares about
ambitious.
number one. She cares about number one.
But she does feel bad about it, and she does immediately go visit Siri and is like, I took some blood money, and he's like, it's fine, girl, like, I want you to take care of yourself. Which is another thing that, like, he's such a stand-up guy that, like, even when people are like, hey, I'm betraying you right now, he's like, it's fine, take care of yourself.
Well, what I understood from him is that he understands that everyone's circumstances are different than his. And so anybody making decisions, they're making decisions for themselves on how they can survive. And so he's constantly reassuring the people around him who are doing completely awful things to him that, I get it, you're just trying to be okay.
Yeah.
So I don't hate you. We're still good.
Yeah. But I admire that, like, a lot.
I admire that from him 100%. I'm kind of like that as well.
I mean, I am to an extent, but, like, I don't know. There are some things that I might get mad about that he's just like stone face. He's just like, oh, that's fine.
I would have literally walked away from Sua on so many occasions. But anyway,
Yeah.
she got on my nerves.
I like her because she's complex, but we'll talk more about that as it goes
Yeah,
along.
yeah. So he decides that he is going to take down Chunkako, Chunkaka,
Operation.
Chunkaka Corporation. Chunk, Chunka, Chunka.
Jungle
Yeah,
Gyms.
that's it, Chunka. Decided that he's going to take down the corporation that Chairman Chang is in charge of, and that would be hard because this is like a multi-billion-dollar company. So
Yeah, this is like it's like your mom and pop's coffee shop being like, I'm gonna become mortal enemies of Starbucks.
oh, ooh. Do you ever get that twinge in the back of your jaw when you're eating something
Yes,
and you smile and then you're like, oh,
it happened.
woo, woo. Okay, everything's fine. But yeah, that is such a good way to put it. That really is. I like that.
Because I mean, it's exactly what it is. Just
But yeah, but it's a restaurant instead of a coffee place. But you can get, I believe you can get coffee at Siori's place. So
yeah, you can get because it's a pub. So like, I was looking up stuff after watching it, and like pubs aren't just bars. They're like everything. Like they're like coffee shops, they're restaurants. Like because like when people drink, they want to have food so they can handle their drink. So like they take it much more seriously there than we do. Like we're just like woo alcohol, but like over there they want to have a full meal with their alcohol.
it's very funny to me how similar that culture is to how I feel about things. It's very
Yeah.
funny to me because like I'm the same way when it comes to alcohol. Like I'm like, you gotta do that responsibly, y'all. You gotta. I mean, I don't drink personally, but if you do drink, I want you to be careful with it and not hurt other people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I just don't like drinking anymore. Not since I puked and thought a lawn gnome was gonna kill me.
What'd you drink?
Oh wow, it was a wild night. So I drank a bunch of woodchuck cider, the Jaeger bombs, fake gas station weed.
Oh no, that's what did it. That's what
It was,
did it.
well, I mean, it was a combination of all three.
Yeah, it's
plus
not great.
really like queso and Olive Garden leftovers.
Oh, honey. That's what did it. It's the queso and Olive Garden.
It was bad.
No, no, no.
Yeah. So Itaewon Class.
Yeah. So yeah. So
So-
Siori gets out of jail.
Yeah.
It's been 4 years.
Yeah, and Sue has been writing him letters, and she's like, I live in this badass little town called Itaewon. It's like a little small area in Seoul, outside of Seoul. It's like around Seoul. She's like, it's super hip. All the young people come here. We have a Halloween celebration every year. It's Halloween when he gets out. And he goes to Itaewon, and everyone's like drinking and in costumes, and like there's Americans and Europeans and Africans, like there's people from all over the world. They're just
I'm
having a
gonna
good
say
time.
it is the millennial and Gen Z town.
It's
there.
really cool, and
It's
he
awesome.
and you can see it in his face. Like the actor does such a good job. He's just like you can see that he's falling in love with the town.
Immediately.
Like you don't see it with any of the girls on the show, which is why I'm going to have complaints later when we talk about his relationships. But when he goes to Itaewon, his face immediately lights up. He's just like, I love this place. And you just see it.
He's impressed with the town. He loves that it's such a hodgepodge of people, and
Yeah.
he likes that it's a community. And it's a community of whoever from wherever. And so he's in the Halloween celebration, and he's walking around, and Sua sees him, but she's got a mask on and completely scares the
She's
crap
got
out of
like a
him.
purge mask on, but she's like running after him, and he's like, "What the fuck?
What's happening? And then she jumps on him, and she says something, and he's like, oh, it's Sua. All right, that's cool. So then Sua, he like hangs out with her, says that he's gonna build a little restaurant in Itaewon, and she's like, you really shouldn't do that. And he's like, no, I'm going to. I like this place. He's like, but I've got other things that I have to do first. I have a 7-year plan. Oh yeah, and also Sua tells him that she won't date him because she only likes rich guys.
Well,
So,
I think she's just kind of playing for a moment because, like, at the end of the night, she's like, "Well, you can come in and we can like hang out, and, hang out." But he takes her seriously, and he's like, "No, no, I'm not going to date you until I'm a rich man."
which leads me to what I think of him. Uh, should I already give my character analysis?
I mean, like, we're going to be talking about. I feel like we're just doing a review and like a plot synopsis, which is the best way to go about it. So you can talk about him at any time. We're going to cover everything.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and give a little glimpse of my thought process on him. I have two different thought things that about Shiori. So one of them is Shiori is autistic because
I can see that, yeah.
everything that someone says to him, he takes it at face value
Yeah.
for exactly what it is, and he doesn't. He sees the emotional things that other people are doing, and he doesn't understand it or comprehend it. He just knows that he needs to be there for them. He's also has a mind for morals, which is a
Yeah.
very, very big thing for several autistic people that I know.
Yeah.
Not for everybody, just so you know, because it's a spectrum. There's all kinds of different kinds of people. But from what I am seeing of him, that is kind of partially what I think's going on with him, because he doesn't seem to like to be touched very much. I noticed that whenever he's looking at people, he's more so looking at their nose than actually in their eyes.
Yeah.
And he just I don't he just seems it to me.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I never really thought of it, but like, yeah, it does because like he doesn't like even when Yiso, who we'll get to when she pops up, and Suwa, like they keep throwing themselves at him. It's like it doesn't even register to him. That's another reason why I don't like the relationship ending because like it feels like it's not earned because most of the time he's focused on his goal. He doesn't care about romance. He doesn't care about any of that. He makes little allusions to it every now and then where like after I succeed what I'm going to do, then maybe I'll date you. But like most of he's focused on the things that he wants to get accomplished first, and like
Right.
it just feels like he doesn't have the mental capacity or space or want for like relationships outside of friendships.
Right. Well, to me, that actually I think stems from his trauma. Because he had so much love for his dad and thought so highly of his father, and then his
Yeah.
father is killed. So the only thing, number one, he probably has closed himself off to love, and is just because he doesn't want to feel that way again. So
But
he's closed himself off to love, and he's dedicated everything in his power to getting revenge for him losing that love.
yeah, but like the reason that I'm leaning the other way is because he was like that before his dad died. Like first episode, like first 5 minutes, there's that little high school girl that you kind of think, who is this? Is she going to be a big part of the show? No, she's there for 2 minutes, but she's like, he's so cute. I'm going to write him a letter. I'm going to tell him that I think he's cute, and he just like looks at her and he's like, okay, and he walks away. So like he's kind of like that from the beginning.
Exactly, which is why I was like, autistic.
Yeah.
Which, just so you guys know, I have several people in my family who are autistic, and I am on the spectrum as well. And I'm pretty sure Travis is too, so.
Yeah. They won't. I'm too shy to ask for somebody to test me, but like I do have PTSD.
Me too.
I do have ADHD. I do have that stuff. So I'm pretty sure.
Same! And it's funny because
Sorry, somebody is like banging on something. I'm just like, what is going on?
when you did that, half of your body disappeared. That was beautiful. I feel like he didn't actually like Sua. I feel like he wanted to like Sua, but I don't think he actually liked her. And it's like, how can I describe what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's almost like, I feel like she was like a scapegoat if anyone else tried to like him. She was like this protective thing for him. You know what I mean?
I think there was a moment when he was younger that he did like her. And then when he went to jail and then his father died and like all of that, like that kind of changed him internally.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when he got out and his focus was changed and she was still there,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like it was like his way of holding on to something. Like it's a thing from his youth that he
Yes!
to hold on to.
That's what I was wanting to say, but it wasn't coming out right. Thank you.
Because if you watch the first 2 episodes when they're teenagers, like he does look like he likes her and he does like smile at her and all that stuff. And then like after he gets out of jail, it's just he's blank face. Like even when she's flirting with him.
Well,
so.
I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense because he got expelled and then his dad died and he feels like it's his fault that his dad died because he got expelled and they had to start a whole new life.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes to jail for defending his father's honor. And it makes total sense to me that he would close himself off to love.
Yeah.
100%. And I personally think that, with the trauma that he has, he just wants to try and make himself feel better, and that's why he's going for the revenge instead of any kind of love. Because consistently throughout the entire show, they're like, so, what are you going to do after revenge? Are you just going to finally be happy? Because we know you're not happy. Because you won't let yourself be happy. Because you have to have your revenge and completely take down Junka Company or corporation, So I feel like that's his big thing. I feel like he also, somewhere deep inside of him, probably does resent Suha on some kind of level. But he's not going to say that.
Well, I mean, yeah, because like you can be the most stand-up guy, but like you're also hyper vigilant. Like after all that trauma, he's still going to be hyper vigilant of things.
100%.
So, because like I'm like that, like the things that you're saying about him kind of apply to me sometimes in relationships. Because like lots of guys have tried to ask me out, guys that have talked to me for years, and I'm just like, yeah, no. But I think with Sua, I think it's things keep adding up. Like at first she's just like, well, I took the blood money from Jang. Are we cool? Okay, we're cool. Well, I took the job at Jenga. Are we cool? Yeah, okay, we're cool. Well, I called the cops on your bar, even though I didn't, but I'm saying that I did. Are we cool?
And he's like, yeah, we're cool. and then, like, little by little, you slowly start to see just, like, chipping away. Yeah, we're cool. We're cool. It's fine.
Mean, like, I feel like we've all kind of had friends like that too.
Yes!
Like, she's like, hey, I fucked up your life. Are
we still good? I'm sorry. It's one of those things where she apologized to him so many times, but she never changed her behavior. So how can you take any I'm sorry from her, seriously, ever again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna bring up Yaseo. This is a girl that is like an internet star,
Yeah.
and she kind of comes into play whenever Shiori comes back after being on a ship for like 7 years or something like that, and then he opens a tiny little pub
Yeah.
with one of his friends from jail and one of
and
his friends that he worked with at a factory. The gal from the factory is named Hyun-Chi Sung-Kwan. So that's the guy that he was in jail with, and he actually punched Shiori at some point and was like, "Do you think people are actually going to hire me when I get out of jail? I'm a convict." And Shiori's like, "Do you think that you're not worth anything now just because you went to jail for something? That your life doesn't matter?"
And he's like, yes! And then they start punching each other.
They have an emotional fight with fists. But yeah, so that's how Seung-Kwan gets into the whole thing. So Shiori hires him, and he's like a waiter, but he's got such a bad attitude with any customer that comes in, and he starts fights and all this stuff.
They're just like, fire him. He's like, no, he's my friend.
He's my friend. I love him. And then Hyun-Chi, she's such a cool character. She's a transgender character, and I love her to pieces, and I just want to hug her. I want to hug her all the time.
Yeah. In the beginning, she's presenting male because she's doing what's called stealthing, which is, if you're a trans person, it's when you don't feel safe to present yourself as your gender, so you pretend to be the gender you were assigned at birth. So she's presenting male. Nobody except for not Sangwon, Sarah knows, but he's the only person that knows. So she's just kind of stealthing for a while, and her voice is deeper, and she's got blue silver hair, and she's wearing like FUBU shit. You know,
it's amazing. And also, like, consistently, whenever you first meet these characters, Hyun Kwan is constantly saying, "You could be a girl," to Hyun-Chi.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we're gonna go off on a tangent, but I want to talk about it now because you sent me a text. You were like, I hope they get together in the end, because they do have so much tension, and I feel like it is implied that they do get together at the end.
Yeah.
But Korea's just not ready to explicitly say it yet.
Exactly. They went on a date together.
They did, and like he's always checking her out after he finds out like that she's trans, and then he's like I don't know how to feel. I have a confused boner. Like he's just like he's always like they have such chemistry.
They do.
That it's just like, well, that's kind of sweet. Like he's very protective of her, and he doesn't.
Yes.
Like at first he's a little confused, but at the same time he's still not mean anymore.
It's
after.
one of those things where he's like confused but also aroused.
Yeah.
Because like at some point he goes clubbing with Yaseo and Gwon-Soo, and he's like in the club and he's dancing and he's going up to some girl. He's like, "Oh yeah, she's hot," looking at her from behind, starts going up on her, grinding a little bit, and then the girl turns around.
She's like, "Someone, what are you doing?"
So it's Hyun-Ji in her normal attire that she wants to wear. And she has like a big long wig on, and she looks beautiful. And so that's that moment when Seung Kwan is like, "Oh." It's like I had a giant boner about my coworker that I thought was a boy.
Yeah. It's a very sweet storyline. We'll get to the
sweet.
rest of it when we get to it. But
Yeah.
anyway, we were leading up to Yi Seo.
Yeah. So So, this is after Shiori opens his little pub, and Yuseo and Gwon-Soo and some other guy, I don't really know his name.
It was just a
He's a
random
bit
guy that was
character.
hanging with him. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was just like a random guy that was hanging with him that was an asshole.
Mm-hmm. So they go to a bar and they're trying to get in, and Yuseo has a very blatantly obvious fake ID where it doesn't
Well,
even.
she has a fake ID. Doesn't it have Suwa on it? Like it's a picture of Suwa?
It looked
Or
like it didn't look anything like Yuseo.
okay,
I don't remember who it was on it. I don't think it
I
was.
was just half looking at it. I don't remember, but I remember that she shows it to Suwa because she's working at the front desk for a moment or something, and she's just like, "Y'all children, get out."
Get out! You're a little kid. So,
But they're
so
only they're like 19, right? Because you have to be
right,
20 to go into a bar.
right. You have to be 20 to go into a bar. So they're
Such a strange age.
just a little short. Just a little short. So, Iseo, Wunsu, and Jerk Guy, they're like, okay, well, this is a tiny little pub. I'm sure that they won't care if we come in here because they need business. So, they go into the pub, which, because it has alcohol, they're not allowed to go in. And they go and they sit down and they order, and Seung Kwan looks at the ID of Yiseo and is like, that's not your face. And Yuseo's like, oh, well, that was me before the plastic surgery.
Yeah.
And Seung-Kwan, you see him pause for a second, and he's like, well, we don't have any business.
Yeah.
Like, he's thinking this in his head.
He's thinking about the business. He's not thinking about the ethics.
Right. The ethics or the laws that he has to follow. And he's like, all right, well, what do you want? And they order, like, beer and alcohol and some food. And then Suha is walking by.
She's like, well, they're my rivals, so I should call the police. And then you see her dial, but you don't see her call, because that will come back later.
As a lie!
Well, we probably will skip over it later because it's such a small part. But
it's small.
It turns out that it's actually like some bully that hates Iso, so she called the cops instead. Like she walked by, Suwa is like, well, he's my friend, so I won't call the cops this time.
Mm-hmm.
But the bully calls the cops instead. So.
Yeah. And, if Suwa was actually having Shiori's best interest, she would have walked into the pub and been like, you guys need to leave because the cops were called. If you guys are not here, they're not going to get in trouble. If she actually had his best interest and actually cared about Shiori...
I don't think she knew that the other girls called them.
No, she did.
Did she?
Yeah, because on the flashback, she's sitting there watching like this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was like, you bitch. This guy you've known for like 10 years and you're just gonna sit there and just like let him...
I'm in love with him, but I also want to see him fail.
Right? When you're in love with somebody, you want them to do well. You don't want to have them fail. Good lord, girl! But yeah, so cops get called. Their pub gets shut down for 2 months because it had minors in it. And Gwon-Soo, who is the little brother of the bully from before, what is his name? Won? Okay. I almost said Gwon-Woo, and I was like, that's not right. But he's the little brother of him, and he actually seems like he's somebody that cares about emotions and stuff, because he's the illegitimate son of Chairman Chang.
Yeah.
So he's always been kind of crapped on by that family and, like, beat up and all that stuff, and ignored. So, Gwon-Soo is like, hey, this was my fault, put it all on me, I'm sorry, it was all me, don't get them in trouble. And Shiori, like, stands up and he's like, because you're a kitty, you don't get to say that this was your
Yeah.
fault. I'm going to take responsibility for this because it was my bar and you guys were in it.
Because he's a stand-up guy with morals.
He's a good boy.
He's so good.
He's a good boy. So that starts the relationship between all of the characters now. Like they're all in there now, except for Tony, but he comes a lot later.
Yeah, yeah. But then Jin Wan comes in and he's like, "Well, this is my little brother, and I'm rich, and so like, let's just forget all about this. It's fine. You don't have to shut this guy's bar down. I know this guy." And Saroi's like, "Fuck you! You murdered my dad." And he throws a fit and he's like, "No, I will take my punishment. No."
He's like, I did wrong. It's fine. Give me my punishment. We'll close down for 2 months.
I'm not like him. I want my punishment. I will take my responsibility.
Exactly. And he always takes responsibility if he does something wrong.
Yeah. But then, like, Jinwan gets him in the parking lot. And he's like, I killed your dad. And then Yiso is there and she hears the whole thing. Or she hears part of it and it's just enough to get her interested to like Google him and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when she's just like, you know what? I'm interested in this weirdo. I want to work at this bar. And that's when it starts to happen.
Yep. And she walks up to him while he's outside and she's like, hi. I want to work with you because I want you to be my boss. Quite literally. So she's actually diagnosed as a sociopath.
Yeah. Like the first thing in the show is her therapy appointment, just randomly.
Yeah.
And then you don't see her again for like 3 episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's diagnosed as sociopath, really headstrong, kind of conniving.
Slapping rich old ladies.
She loves it. Loves it.
It's my favorite. It's just like she gets a rich girl expelled for bullying a guy or another girl because like she's a social media star. So she's just like, look at what this bitch is doing. She's like live streaming it. And so like her mom shows up and she's like, how dare you correctly humiliate my bully daughter? And then she's like, oh really, bitch? She just slaps her on camera.
Yep.
She's like, get that? Did you get it? Do you need another angle?
Hit me again. This side. This side. Oh yeah! And then she's about to hit her again, and then
That's
Seori.
when she first meets Sarah.
Yeah. Then Seori comes out, and he's like grabs her arm, and he's like,
What's going on, guys?
"What's going on here? What's happening?" So that's how she meets him, and she's like, "You're nosy," and like she just like walks away, and he's like, all right, that's fine. Oh wait, there's another point where she meets him. Where was she?
In the second one, it's like they're driving on their little moped, and then Jun-Soo almost hits a kid, but he stops just in time, but it flips the bike, and like she lands on top of Saroi.
Well, no, he catches her. Like he runs out and catches her.
Yeah. So
that she doesn't get killed. But there was another time whenever she went to like a little mingle, like a social mingling thing, and there was like an asshole there, and they were trying to get them to go to a second location with them. It was her and 2 other girls, and she was like, this is so stupid. I hate my life right now. I'm going to leave. And she's like, I'm gonna pass. I'm going out with you guys. See you later.
Yeah.
And she goes to leave, and then a guy follows her. And
well, that's after I think they start working. Right?
No, this is before that. That was the thing that like cemented her wanting to work for him.
Yeah.
So the guy is getting more and more aggressive every time that she says no, and he starts to try to attack her, and then she like pulls out some like self-defense moves. It's awesome. Like she flips him onto the ground. I was like, yes, Yaseo, yes, thank you. The guy gets really peeved off and then like hits her in the face, and her lip starts bleeding, and she like starts taking off running really fast to get away from him. and she enters through a back alley into a restroom, and who's there using the urinal but Saori? And she's like staring at him, and she actually looks kind of happy to see him. Like, it's like this look of, oh my gosh, it's this guy. It's this guy. Yes, 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 yes. And then
It's this
this guy. And then the creep comes in afterwards and is all like, she, me and this girl, this is my girlfriend. She just got a little upset with me, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, what's wrong with your face? What happened to your face? Because her lip's bleeding. And, guy's like, oh, it's just a little misunderstanding. No big deal. And then Saori's like, well, I know her, so I'm well aware.
Misunderstand my fist.
Exactly. he's like, I know this girl, and you're lying. And so he punches him in the face and knocks him out and all kinds of stuff. And they leave. Him and Saori leave. Because there's this moment where you're like, is he going to leave Saori in the bathroom with this asshole? And you're like, oh no. Oh no. But you're sitting there and you're like calculating.
I never had that moment because, like, all of his decisions up to that point, I was just like, well, he's too much of a. Yeah, he wouldn't. He will risk going to jail to beat the shit out of this guy.
Right. Well, there is a part of me that was like, because she was kind of rude to him before. I was like, is he not going to pick up the cues? Please pick up the cues. And then he picked up the cues, and I was like, oh, thank God. Whenever he said, what happened to your face, that's when I was like, okay.
Yes.
And then she goes to the pub and is like, I want to work here.
Yeah.
I want you to be my boss because you saved my life like 8 times.
But like it's good because like she is good at social media.
Yes.
Her branding would bring an audience, and it does. And she's just like, you know what? Your bar is ugly. We need some new decorations.
Also, your food is terrible.
Yeah, I know, but that's one of the first times that you start to be, like, question if you like her or not. You're just because she's just like, the food is terrible. You need to fire Hyun-Ji. And he's like, no, I'm just gonna train her and pay her more.
Yeah. I actually was not upset with her at that point.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I understood what she was saying because she was looking at it from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
She's like, you could just hire another cook, and have somebody that knows what they're doing because Hyun-Ji just worked in a factory, had never done cooking before. So it didn't really bother me, her wanting to have a replacement cook, because that makes sense. What did bother me was her being an asshole about it.
Well, and then she finds out, I think that's the same episode they find out that she's trans.
Yeah.
And so she's just like, not only is she a bad cook, but she's transgender, and it'll be bad for business to have someone like that in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And then you're just like, and then he's like, okay, all right, we'll call her in here. We're going to have a meeting. Mm-hmm. So guess what, Hyun-Ji? And he just looks at Yiso and he's like, I'm going to pay you double. Practice cooking.
And then like
Yiso's like, shocked Pikachu face.
I love it. I love her little face when she looks shocked because she goes this, what? What? The whole doing getting a different chef is fine because, Saori, I think, would have just had her Hyun-Ji just be someone else in the bar. You know what I mean? Like, give her a different job.
But, like, Yiso wanted her to be fired, period.
Exactly.
Because, like, I don't know, they didn't need that many people on staff.
Exactly. But I think that was a great power move for Saori because it immediately told Yuseo that, hey, these are my people, and I protect my people, and I'm not going to fire my people just because you say so. Yeah,
I mean, that's his company motto, is, like, people matter more than money.
Exactly. Like. And and Yuseo is like, well, I'm the manager.
He's like, well, I'm the owner.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I trump you. So, thanks. Thanks. It takes Yuseo just a little bit to really come around to Hyun-chi, but whenever she does, she is warm and really supportive of Hyun-chi.
Because she apologizes, and then she's like, you know what? You're really pretty with black hair. And then that makes her confidence go up to the point where she dyes her hair black and she starts dressing more feminine, and like she really starts to pursue it because Yiseo's finally, she's being nicer to her as everybody else. And,
well, it's one of those things where Hyun-chi, this is like the first time that a whole group of people knows that she's transgender, And for another female to be like, yeah, I accept you as a female. You are a female. That's that moment where Hyun-chi's like, awesome. I can be myself around these people,
It's sweet. I like her storyline.
Yeah.
Oh.
I love Hyun-chi. I think she's such a little cutie booty. I do. They definitely evolve Yuseo's character quite a bit.
They do.
And I like that she goes from being this sociopathic, I will do anything to get my way, to being this selfless person that will do anything to help her boss. Like, she has this, like, clarity moment that kind of, like, pops up in her head. Was it after they met Tony that this happened?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember exactly when this happened, but just in case, a guy comes in, his name's Tony, and they don't believe that he's Korean, but he's like, I'm half Korean.
He's a black man, but they're like, and he's like, I'm Korean. I identify as Korean. I'm Korean. And they don't believe him because, he's black, and like in Korea, you're Asian looking. You don't usually have other features. And he was born, I don't think he was born in Korea. I think he was born in Guinea.
Yeah.
Like, he's from Guinea, but his father is Korean, and his grandmother is Korean. Like, he's just, like, he's fluent in Korean. He doesn't know English at all, but they hire him because he's like, oh, it's a black man. He must know English. So Yiseo's like, hire him immediately because we need another English speaker for when I'm not in town. So, like, just let him do it. And they're like, okay. And so then, like his first day working, like, an English couple comes in, and they're like, go say hello to them. And he's like, blank stare.
He's like, I don't speak English.
I speak Korean.
Because I'm Korean.
And Guinean, French. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does not speak English.
He's like, I speak French and Korean, so this, they were like, you need to make sure that you learn English really quick because Yuseo's gonna fire you.
She's got a boner for firing people.
She loves it. She loves it. And then after Tony's there for a little bit, they're like, let's all go to a club. It's gonna be so much fun. Whee! The entire shop is gonna go to this bar. And Shiori and who else was with him? Shiori and
there's all of them. It was
no, I know it's everybody, but Shiori came later with somebody else.
I mean, did Suan Jinsu come?
He was already with Yuseo. It was Seungkwan. That's who it was. They came later. So it's Yuseo, Hyung-chi, Tony, and Gwon-soo, and they're trying to go into this bar, and Tony hands him his ID to kind of like prove, hey, yeah, this is who I am. And the bouncer at the bar was like, you from Africa? He's like, I'm Korean. And the guy's like, you're not allowed in our bar. And they are like starting to get upset and starting to get mad, and then Yuseo's just kind of like, this is their bar, we'll just go somewhere else. And then you see Shiori come up, and he's like, hold on, what the F's going on? And they explain to him that they won't let him in because he's African, which he's actually Korean, and African. They leave that bar, blah, 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 and then the next day, Yuseo is walking down the street and sees that it says, like, spray painted all over the wall, "You racists!" Blah, 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 blah. And then you see Siori with his accountant later, and he's got, like, spray paint all over him. And it's
Yeah.
like, and that
He's
was the
so
moment. That was the moment when Yuseo was like, "Oh my god, I love him, and I want to make sure that, like, I want to make sure that everything he wants he gets.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna fight everyone."
So we haven't really mentioned the weird, like, 80s soap opera dynasty face-offs that Suwa and Yuseo have all the
Oh my god.
every time. Every time they're together and Sarah leaves the room, they're like, "Hello, bitch."
And then he'll
So
walk
we
back
meet
in.
again.
And then he'll walk back in and he's like, is everything okay in here? And they're like, "Yes, it's fine.
Oh, we're just having girl talk.
Just some girl time."
And he leaves to get coffee, and they're like, "You know that he's in love with me, right? You could never."
You could never get him to love you. And then Yuseo was like, "Oh yeah? Well, I'm gonna get him to love me. You'll see. I'm gonna be so awesome that he won't be able to not love me."
I have loved him since I was a teenager. How can you make him love you?
She's like, "Just you wait. Just you wait.
And then Sarah comes up, "Hello, girls. I came here to get coffee."
You guys."
It's it happens a couple times.
It's more than a couple. It happens like 6 times. And every time I'm always like this.
It's always the same conversation too.
It is! It is! Well, he likes me,
Guess
so...
what? He's still in love with me.
Siori never changes. He's always who he is. And that person likes me.
But the reason that it cracks me up so much is because I don't think he knows or cares that this is going on.
Nope.
He has no idea that they're like in love. Like he knows that Suwa has feelings for him, but like he doesn't think about it. He has no idea this is going on.
Right.
And they're just full on like Joan Collins staring each other down.
It's great because like he'll just walk in and he'll still be completely oblivious. And he takes it at face value that everything's fine.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're not fighting. They're just sitting there discussing what this coffee tastes like. Yeah, yeah. But yeah.
Yes.
So Travis, what happens next?
So, because Yiseo is such a social media sensation, they start getting lots of customers. People are talking about them. People aren't going to Jenga Pub. They're going to Danbam. Danbam, that's the name of their pub. We've not mentioned it until now. I just
Donbum.
realized.
Donbum.
Is it done? Does that literally mean honey? Because like they have signs on the wall that says Honey Night.
I think so because he's always referencing the fact that he wants people's night to be sweeter.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it means. I'll look that up really quick just to be safe.
But yeah, they're starting to get popular. People are going to Jenga. They're going there, and so old man Jenga Corp is like, "All right, well, I'm gonna buy your building, and then I'm gonna buy every building that you rent out from here on out."
It means sweet night.
Okay.
It's the BTS song.
Sweet night.
A V.
By the way, V has a song on the soundtrack.
And it's called Sweet Night.
Yep. But anyway, like the Jenga buys their building, and they have like 30 days to get out or else. And so like everyone's like, what do we do? What do we do? Oh, they can't do this legally. What? So he's just like, you know what? You know what I haven't told any of you? I've been sitting on a stockpile of money, and I'm just gonna buy my own building.
Exactly. He's like, sorry, Jenga company. Siori didn't know that it was Chairman Chang that bought the building. And he was just calling. What? He was calling to, like, talk about them still being able to be in that space.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we forgot to mention what prompted this is that Serui's been working with his accountant this whole time. The accountant is the kid that was bullied by Jinwan at the beginning, and he wants his revenge. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to be the best damn accountant for you. I'm going to get you all the money. And so, like that, what he does is he gets them, like he gets lots of stocks in Jenga for Serui. And the reason that Jenga retaliates to by buying his building is because they buy like a lot more stocks or
Oh
something
yeah, I forgot.
to the point where where he like rises up to like in the top of the investors
Mm-hmm.
and Mr. Jenga's
He owns a good percentage of
yeah,
stock.
and Mr. Jenga's like he's trying to make moves on me, so I'm gonna fuck with him right back.
He's like, I
So
see your power move. Oh, by the way, in this entire time, Sua is feeding Chairman Chang information about what the company is doing. Like the bitch
but
she
she's also
is.
feeding thoroughly. She's just going back and forth.
Yeah, girl
It's
don't
just
care.
like, well, I feel kind of bad, so I'll tell Thoroughly what's going on. But then, like, it's my job, so I have to tell Chairman Jang what's going on.
See, to me, she's waiting to see who comes out on top. That's how I felt.
That is true. Like, if she, because like she's always telling Thoroughly, she's like, if you get successful enough, you'll let me quit my job, and then we'll like get married and stuff, right? Like,
Yep. So, quite literally, if that doesn't happen, then she's got Chairman Chang to hang out with. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And vice versa. So, girl is playing both fields.
She's playing the game, but like she's a survivor. That's what she does. Like
I'm a
I don't
survivor.
I don't necessarily think it's malicious. I think it's just kind of like she's she's an orphan. So like
Right.
she's going to make sure that she's going to be safe like no matter what.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
that's her game.
mean, she didn't have people taking care of her as a child, so she learned how to take care of herself. And that was through being cunning.
Hmm.
You know? With Mr. Park, Seori's dad, she didn't have to be cunning. Like, he just took care of her. And whenever Mr. Park passed away, she didn't have that anymore. So,
Yeah.
so she kind of had to figure out for herself how she can survive in a world that's kind of already set up against her. So,
Yeah.
but still, she's playing both fields. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Yeah.
if she had put all of her effort into helping Shiori, then all of that stuff that was going on that was so awful and so like detrimental to so many people's lives, maybe it wouldn't have happened that much. You know what I mean? Like if she wasn't feeding Chairman Chang all this information and like giving him ideas, like the show would have been over a lot sooner. I mean, I love the show, and I loved that there was like a whole big story arc thing. But I mean that she could have really helped
Yeah.
Shiori, and I don't think her saying, "Oh, well, you know, whenever you get rich with this, then I'll marry you." I don't think that that's honest whatsoever. I don't feel like she was honest with that.
I mean, I think she's honest with that. I just think it's like it's a survival thing. I don't know. Like at a certain point, like I feel like she has feelings for him, but I think it's also conditional. It's like
It is.
I uh I need to know that I'm gonna be okay. Like love is one thing, but I need to know my future is gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what she been doing, what she have been doing.
There is a part of me that also wondered: does she keep telling him? Do they keep talking about them liking each other just to string him along more, so that she can get more information, and continue to be able to protect herself on both sides? You know what I mean? Because she
Yeah.
was playing Chairman Chang like that as well, where like she would always tell him what he wanted to hear. You know, so I was kind of like, is she doing the same thing with Shiori, where she's just saying what he wants to hear so that she stays on his good side, even though she blatantly tells him, "Hey, I'm doing all this stuff behind your back, but as long as I like you, right, you're gonna still like want me around, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah."
Yeah. Well, I do think she's still being honest to a certain percent. certain degree, because she is telling Sinoi telling him that she's doing this stuff because it's her job. Like, she has to do it.
Right.
But she's also sometimes going to Jenga and being like, "Hey, you're acting like an unprofessional dick. You need to not worry about your family, worry about your job or whatever." And then he doesn't want to hear it. And he's just like, "Go away. You're just a woman." Blah, blah. You know.
Well, vagina. That means you don't understand business.
Lady business.
Periods.
But yeah, so like he buys a new building, and they move in, and it looks super tight. They have this cool balcony.
But it's in an alleyway that is really run down.
I know, and then there's this old lady that comes by, and she's like, you're an idiot. This is a bad building. Everyone that moves in moves out and gets shut down real quick." And she's a cool old lady who turns out is secretly rich, but we'll get to her later.
And it's secretly related to one of the main characters.
I know. But because like it is so run down and like they don't get a lot of foot traffic, he's just like, well, you know what? I'm gonna have to just make this neighborhood attractive. And so he just starts helping out all the people in the neighborhood. He's like, well, you know what? You need a new paint on your sign, so I'm going to do that for you, and then people will come because you have a pretty new sign and stuff like that.
We forgot to bring up Miss Kong.
Who? What?
Miss Kong.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
bring her up.
She's this high-ranking lady in Jenga Corp who's kind of like Sua's little teacher there. And she's also old friends with Mr. Park. She was like business partners with him back in the day, and so she's like a family friend to Sarui. And so him and his accountant make plans with her because she doesn't like Chairman Jenga or his sons, and she thinks that they're just really bad at their jobs. So she's just like, I should be the boss. So they make secret plans with Sarui and his accountant, and so they kind of like she's like his inside man at Jenga.
Right. Chairman Chang is fully aware.
Yes, because he has spies on everyone.
Everyone. There's even like, oh, we haven't gotten there yet. Never mind. I'm not going to bring it up.
We're working our way through the plot.
We're working our way.
A review recap. We're working our way through the plot.
Working our way through the plot.
And then I forget what happens. I know they go on a TV show, but like they do that a little bit later. Because the first time they go on, they get kicked off because it's run by Jenga. But the second time it's a whole big thing. We'll get to it. But something happens to where they attract investors. And like a bunch of rich people start like, you know, getting in contact with them, being like, hey, let's give you money. And so like he goes to like the biggest one.
Oh, that's because Hyun-Chi won that little tournament. The first round. The
first round?
Yeah, she won the first round.
Okay, so they got back on the show. Yeah.
Yeah. This was later on, whenever Gwen Won went to jail. We forgot to talk about that.
Oh yeah!
Yeah!
Oh yeah!
Yeah, we need to bring that up.
I'm trying to remember like the flow of events in this plot.
Well, I just watched it the last like 5 days, so. Yeah.
So okay. So that's what happens first. So Jenga, the next plan of attack against Sarui is like, well, he wouldn't be good at this without Yiseo. Like, she's a social media star.
Yep.
She's the one with all the ideas. Let's hire her. Let's steal her from him.
Right.
And so like they get together like their little care package. They're like, you know, this is our job offer. And Jinwon is like such a fuck up that he's like, let me do this. Let me prove that I'm not a fuck up. So he goes to meet her at like a coffee shop. And he gives his little speech about, you know, how much better Jenga is, and like she'd have such a good time working there. And then Yiseo's like, yeah, I bet. Like, what's it like being so rich? And he's like, well, it's kind of like being above the law, you know. Like we're just really cool. We don't have to follow the rules or anything. She's like, yeah, go on. Like, tell me about like the baddest thing you've done.
I swear I won't use it against you.
Please enunciate.
Could you lean your
And
head
he's,
forward just a little bit into this microphone?
can you repeat that? And he's such a dumb fuck up that he's like, yeah, one time, like, I totally killed Zoe's dad with my car, and then my dad covered it up. Like, some other guy went to jail. It was no big deal.
No biggie.
It's just we're so rich, you know. And she's just like, ah!
I got you!
You're on candy camera now.
This made me so mad in this show. Every single time somebody had a hand to play, they put their hand out right in front of their enemy. It was like, look at this! I just recorded you saying bad things. And then you know that they're gonna retaliate against you right at that moment. It's like, girl!
Yeah. But like I also feel like Yiso is has the tech savvy to have already had it uploaded to other like have it either live streaming or uploaded already. So like yeah, he can smash the phone. It's already on my cloud, bitch. What are you gonna do?
Exactly. But so he starts getting crazy and wants to grab the phone from her, and she grabs it first because she recorded him. Just so you guys know, she recorded him saying all this crap. And she was like, I got you, you stupid dumbhead. That's what she calls him. And
she literally says
she does. She's like, you are literally the biggest dumb head I've ever met.
I mean, he is.
He's
like,
super dumb. And
it's like, yeah, like, I know this is a job interview about you, but, like, I totally murdered somebody one time, got away with it. It's really cool.
He was like, I'm super impressive. Yep, I totally just drank some soy sauce.
Yeah.
Don't judge me! So then he starts to get up and like lunge over the table where they were talking, and she gets this big pot of soup and pours it on his face. Like she goes, or was it tea? It was tea. And pours it all over him. It was tea. And then she runs out. She runs out the place because he's on her and he's like being crazy. And she runs into the alley where all of those businesses are that Saori just like cleaned up and all that, and he like smacks her in the face and makes her face bleed, and she's like, "We're in Itaewon now, bitch." There's gentlemen from all over the world here.
She just immediately turns into a white girl and starts speaking English. She's like, "Oh my god, he's slapping me!
Help me! He's mean! Help me!" Like she says it in English. She also says it in Korean, and then all of these guys come out of all of these businesses, and they're like, "What's going on here? Huh?
Yeah.
What's happening here?" And he's like, "Nothing to see here. I'm just gonna beat up this girl, and none of the people in that little town are gonna have it." And Saori is like, "Did you hurt her face? Blah 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 blah." It's pretty good. There's several times when she gets hit in the face, and Saori's like, "How dare they?"
Because she's a sociopath, so I think she's just like, yeah, I'm gonna use them smacking me in the face to play the victim. But like, it was
for him.
Good and warranted in this situation.
It was for him because she was like, "I got him saying it. He confessed. He confessed to killing your dad. I got him."
Well, I got
him. So then Won tries to run away, and then all the people in Itaewon, they're like, no. And they grab him, they hold him down until the police come and take him.
Yeah, and he gets arrested, and Jenga's stocks are plunging, and ooh, I burped, and then Mr. Jenga's all like, no, you know.
Yeah.
And so then he's like, let them on my TV show that I just kicked them off of. And so they go on, and it's like the best chef in Korea. Like it's a chef from every popular pub in the area, and it's It's like a Top Chef type competition show.
Mm-hmm.
And so Hyunji is competing, and like people love her. She's a fan favorite. She's like, oh, she's so cute. Oh, she wins the competition, and then that's when the investors start calling. And so Saroi goes to the investor guy, like the biggest one, and he's like, I forget if it's something. If it's no, it's Miss what's her face, the older lady, Mrs. Miss Kang. She gives him the advice to like know how much his business is worth.
Right.
And so like he takes it in his head and he's like, my business is worth 10 billion won. And so like the business the guy's like, oh, okay. And he gives him
why not?
Gives him a check for 10 billion won, and then he starts getting investors from everywhere else. And it's like, they're like, it's great. We're going to open up franchises. We're going to hire all these new people. Like, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, at first he's against it. He's just like, I want to expand this restaurant. Anissa is the one that's like, no, let's open up all these franchises. And he's like, okay, well, I trust you.
Right.
Because you've been good at everything so far.
Right. He's like, I trust you most of all. Sua goes and tells Chairman Chang what's going on. And Chairman Chang is like, whatevs. And Sua's like, why don't you care about this? I don't understand. Why are you so nonchalant about him getting 10 billion whatevers? And, 10 billion won. And he's like, well. And then it cuts to, the guy that invested in
Itaewon Class. That's what they decided their
corporation.
Their company's going to be.
Yeah.
The corporation's name's going to be.
The guy that invested in them, they gave him like the 5 billion won, and then the rest
The
of
10
them.
billion.
Well, no, he gave him 5 billion, and then the other investors got up to 10 billion. So, so Sua's in there with Chairman Chang, and then in walks the guy that they have as their investor, and he's all like, "It's great to see you, Chairman Chang."
Yeah, and then cut to like text messages and be like, "Well, we're pulling out of the investment," and then that hits the news, and then like all the other investors panic and they pull out, and so now, the Saroi and his company is in debt for 10 billion won because they have already started the process of opening franchise restaurants. Mm-hmm. They've hired new people, and so like all these people are screaming at him, and he's like, I'm going to figure this out. You guys need to chill, because like he's just like confident in himself all the time.
We can fix this.
Even though everyone's screaming. And that's when we find out that old lady who's like, oh, your restaurant stinks, is secretly rich.
She's super rich. Oh, we forgot to say, Guan Wan went to jail, by the way. And there were 2 different ways that it could happen. Chairman Chang could defend his son, and it would look really bad on the company. Or number 2, he could completely disown his son and let him go to jail. And they were having a shareholders meeting, and Miss Kong wanted to be able to step in and kind of be the person that was in charge of everything. And if he washed his hands of Guan Wan, they didn't have a hand to play. So Chairman Chang washed his hands of Guan Wan, and he went to jail. So there you go.
Yeah.
So
I forget where that fits in.
It was right. It was right after they had bought all of those, all the stock, and then him hitting her in the face, hitting Yiseo in the face, and then him going to jail, and right after he went to jail, this is when Chairman Chang did the whole investment thing, the investment scam. So there you go.
And there's a whole other character that's sort of important, but not to everything we've been talking about, but is that we haven't really mentioned, is the cop that
Oh yeah.
retired after covering up everything. He when he retired, he became like a farmer and like he supplies um, Siri with all of his like I don't know like food, vegetables and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and he has like kind of like a little love like thing going on with Miss Kang. Like she's a city girl and he's a farmer boy, and
He's
they
got a
have this,
little daughter.
I know they have this cute little like little side story where like they're always flirting and like they kind of get together in the end. It's cute,
It is really cute.
but part of it is since he covered it up, he has to come forward and go to jail for a little while. I think. Um,
I don't think he actually did. I don't think he
Duh.
actually came forward and did it.
I don't remember because like I thought he did, but like also I remember his daughter crying and being
Yeah.
like, "Don't make my daddy go to jail."
Yeah, and you know Siori's gonna be like, all right, I won't make him go to jail. He has a daughter, so.
So yeah. But anyway, so like the investors pull out, and then the old lady's secretly rich, and like they find her getting like attacked on the street, and they take her to jail or not to jail. They don't take her to jail.
Take her to the
They take her
hospital.
to the hospital. So many people have gone to jail, so it's
I
just
know.
like so they take her to the hospital, and she. So the reason she was like attacked because she's kind of like she's rich, but she's also kind of like a loan shark.
Yeah.
So she's like taking money from this guy who is buying drugs instead of food for his kid, or alcohol instead of food for his kid, and so she was not giving him an extension. She was just like, "No, you are wasting your life. I'm taking the money."
Your kids are starving.
So
Stop it.
I know. So he attacks her on the street, but would like she's out of it at that moment because she had just found out after having a conversation with Tony that Tony is her grandson because her son was married to a black woman and she initially was disapproving of it and she disowned her son and now she feels really bad about it. So she's like wandering the streets just feeling bad about herself, and then this guy like attacks her, and so like then they save her and they take her to the hospital.
Well, actually, she attacked the guy, technically. Because she was like, stop buying this stuff! You have a daughter to take care of! And then she starts hitting him, and then he, like, lashes out this way to, like, make her stop hitting him, and then she rolled down the hill.
Yeah. But then she goes to the hospital, and, like, then, you know, they take care of her, and then she admits to Tony, she's like, I'm your grandmother! Well, she says more than that.
I like the idea of her just being like, well, I'm your grandmother.
Yes. So yeah. So initially, Sarah Lee is not going to ask her to invest because he's stubborn, and he's just like, I don't want to.
Well, it was more so of I don't want Tony to be the reason that you'll give us money. I don't want to use Tony like
that too. Yeah, that. But you know, Seo is and Miss Kang are both like, hey, take this investment. Don't be a dum dum.
Right.
And he's still like, no, I'm not going to. And she's and like, even the old lady's all for it. She's like, I'll give you money. You have to ask for it though.
Yeah. She's like, you need to step over this pride you have.
He still won't. So she's like, well, I'm not going to.
Exactly, and she leaves. And Yusei was like,
yeah. She's just like, I'm not going to give up on this. So she like goes to her house to like convince her, while Sarah Lee's just like, okay, fine, I guess I'll swallow my pride and ask her. So he calls, and Yusio's like, I'm already here, and she's just like, I'm still not going to give you the money. And then she's just like, well, I'll give you the money if you win the food competition on TV tomorrow.
Yep. Oh, we forgot to talk about Kyung-Soo.
I know, there's so much stuff.
Oh my gosh! So Kyung-Soo has a big crush on Yuseo, and
and he's also the secret, not secret, but illegitimate son of Chairman Jang-ga and the little brother of John evil rich dick.
His brother, his half brother. So he is talking with Yuseo at some point, and he was like, "Is there ever a time that you would actually want to date me, or would actually like me?" And she was like, and Yuseo said, "Become the chairman of Junka-ko, and we'll talk about it." And then he goes, "You're really mean." She's like, "I'm kidding. I don't want that." And then
It's kind of funny it's kind of like a mirror of Sarah. They're both like, oh, this woman won't date me unless I become rich.
mm-hmm.
But like Sarah, that's not his goal. He just wants to do it just to
He wants to get
do it
revenge.
and to get revenge. He's not doing it for the girl, but Junsu is.
Yep. Kyung-Soo goes to Chairman Chang and is like, "Well, since my brother's in jail, I'm the only person that you can have take your place whenever you leave this company."
Yeah, and don't you
So,
want it to be in the family?
mm-hmm. So then Chairman Chang is like, all right. Start learning from Suha, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah. So because like Junsu, for the longest, like for a little while, he was working with Sarah, and then like he left because like his dad found out, and like he didn't want to make things worse, and then then he joins Jenga just to see if he can take over because for Giso. Um, but also like along the way he gets put in charge of the TV show, like the Jenga team on the TV show,
Mm-hmm.
to compete against Danbam, to beat Hyunji, um, and he knows they're not going to win because Hyunji is just like Korea's sweetheart. She's gotten really good at cooking. Like
Mm-hmm.
that pressure that they put her through, like made her just determined to be the best chef. So she's become it. People love her. The camera's always on her. Like they know they don't have a chance in hell. So Junsu is like, well, I have one thing I could do that's terrible, but might guarantee us a win. And Suwa knows, and she's just like, you're not going to, are you? Like, I don't think I think it's even too far for her. I think
Suha wasn't sure what he had planned, but he was just like, "I've got cards to deal," or whatever the crap he said. Just something about cards. He's like, "I've got an upper hand." And then you see him going on to Hyunji's private Instagram account and getting photos of Hyunji before when she was stealthing.
yeah. So yeah, and so like Suri shows up to set with Hyunji. He's like, no pressure, but you have to win, or we are not going to be able to get investment. So good luck.
Right.
And she's just like, oh god. But then they walk onto set, and everyone's staring at her. Everyone's calling her gross. Everyone's like being real mean, and she's like, "What's going on?" And then like somebody shows her the article, like Hyunji is a transgender, like, and so
I think it was Seung Kwon, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was because he ran in from this car.
Yeah, um, but it's very obvious that Junsu told the media,
Mm-hmm.
and she runs off. She's just like, I'm not going to do it. I can't do it now. And Sarah is fully prepared to step in and just compete for her.
Yeah.
But Yiseo calls her, and she's just like, you know what? I read this poem, and it reminds me of you. It's like this cute little poem about like a flower or a rock or something.
I am a rock, and then it's I'm the diamond. Is what it's called.
Yeah, it was really cute, and it made her smile. And she's determined. She walks on the set, and she's just like, I am Hyunji, and I am trans, and I'm going to win this competition.
Yep.
And she does.
She does. She was it easy peasy. Easy
And
peasy.
that was the moment that I had happy tears, and I was like, this is the greatest show.
I know, right? there's a part of me that thinks that Kyung-Soo set that up in part of it up in a good light for Donbon because he did a like a secret taste testing, so they didn't know it was anonymous. They didn't know who made what,
Yeah.
and the other times it was not like that. So he made it anonymous, whereas it wasn't originally supposed to be anonymous. I feel like he kind of was like, well, I did a shit thing. Let's make this part at least fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
what I think, because he looked actually very remorseful about what he had done to Hyunji, but because he was trying to be something that he wasn't, because he was just like, I'm gonna make you love me, but it's not gonna work, buddy. Because
Yeah.
whenever Yuseo found out that it was him, she was like, you are the worst person I've ever met in my life.
I mean, it is like on a serious note. If somebody is in the closet, either as gay, bi, trans, queer, whatever, don't out them because that's a safety thing, especially in certain parts of the world where, like, I mean, even here in America, where you could just be killed for being trans, for you could be fired for no reason. Like, it's a safety thing. You're messing with people's lives, so just don't do it. Like, it's
It's
not worth
not
it.
right. It's not right. Because, I mean, like, you wouldn't want your personal business, and it's something that is scary to you, and it's something that could do physical harm. You wouldn't want someone to blab that to other people.
Yeah,
You know? That's their
yeah,
life, that's their story, and they get to tell it.
yeah. And like, there's so many people that are just like, well, they're tricking men. They need to tell people. No, they don't. Like, I can guarantee you, if they get sexually intimate with somebody, they're probably going to bring that up. They're not tricking people. It's
How are they
just
gonna trick people?
the what?
Like, if they don't have their surgeries or anything, they can't trick people. You know, like if they are getting intimate. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you can't. There's an argument to be made that, like, when you're drunk, maybe you're not paying attention. Like,
Yeah,
you can
that's
tuck your
true.
business away. But at the same time, that's not everybody. And people that do that are shitty. So, like,
Yeah.
there's shitty queer people, just like there's shitty straight
Oh no,
people.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if they get into the moment and they're not thinking about it, there's no way that they can hide that if they haven't had their surgeries yet. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
I mean,
saying? Like
they can't.
they're not tricking them. They're just not they don't they're thinking about themselves as themselves, not what society sees them as. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
yeah. It's just don't do that to people. Just
yeah,
don't out them. Don't.
rude.
It's a safety thing.
Mhm.
First, yeah. Um, but yeah, yeah.
She still won. She killed it.
She did, and they got their money,
Mhm.
and they got to franchise,
Mhm.
and then smash cut 5 years later.
5 years later, Yuseo is still in love with Shiori. Gyunsu is still in love with Yuseo. Um,
Still in love with Suri.
uh,
But
Yuseo
now
has
I
long
see.
hair.
Yeah, Yuseo has long hair that is no longer blonde. IC is now a major rival corporation
Hmm.
to Jenga.
They have a
Uh,
10-story building.
yeah, and they have expanded into China, which, if you had paid attention to Jenga's little plans on their wall, they were going to try to, but I think IC swooped in and did it first.
Absolutely.
Um, so this is where it started getting weird for me, and I'm going to explain it real quick. I no longer cared about the stakes because they were rich. Because when it was like the beginning, like the first several episodes, it was like small, plucky kids almost getting smushed by rich corporations every other week. Like, you were rooting for them. Every victory felt just amazing. Every loss felt heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like, because the stakes were huge for them. And then when they became like rich, successful business people, it was just like, well, it sucks that they didn't get Yuseo on the board or whatever, but like they're still rich,
Well,
right?
I feel like at that point, that's when it transitions from having the perfect company, because that's when everyone starts saying to Siori, when are you going to start worrying about what happens after the revenge? When are you
Yeah.
going to start letting yourself be happy and having that freedom? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So at this point, I believe even everyone's kind of visual of what's happening has transitioned, because they know that they're in a good place. They know that they have money. They know that they are in a great position to uh, be able to be successful. Because they are
Yeah.
successful. So the thing that is really the focus of the last few episodes is cutting the Junka company all the way down on the personal level. And it almost takes it to where Shiori is like, well, I'm getting all the things that I wanted and I'm not happy.
Mm.
And this is my last little bit of revenge that I can get. And we haven't gotten into the 100% revenge. But
Yeah.
he's like, this is where I'm at getting my revenge and it doesn't feel good.
Mm.
He's like, because, well, it was because he's blocked himself from feeling happy, he's blocked himself from having love, he's
Hmm.
blocked himself from all of that stuff. And you need those things to be happy.
Yeah.
You need to feel loved and comforted and all of that, and he completely blocked himself from that even when he was successful. So
Hmm.
I think that those last few episodes were about him realizing that revenge wasn't really what he wanted.
Yeah.
He
I that's valid, but like that's it's just for me personally. Like I no longer felt the stakes, and I feel like the show kind of knew that that was something that it was at risk of, and that's why it turned into a crime thriller
Oh, I loved
where it was
it.
just like now people are gonna get kidnapped and held at gunpoint and shit.
Whoa.
Um, but yeah, but like also like he finds out that Mr. Jenga is dying of like cancer.
Yep.
And so it's very anticlimactic. He's just like he calls him. He's like, "Please don't die. I have to ruin you first."
And he's like, the chairman Chang's like, you're the only person that actually wants me to stay alive. Oh, all right, I'll do it.
You're like, "That's so sweet. Okay, bring it."
Cool. And then they start following around Yuseo, and she has worked herself silly to try and make Siori successful because she wants everything that he's ever wanted to ever come to him.
Yeah.
And she has worked herself so hard that she's made herself ill.
Hmm.
And she has to
Like
go to
she's
the hospital.
dehydrated and like
Her nose is
woozy.
bleeding and it was a mess.
Hmm.
But they were going into a shareholders meeting to have Yiseo take over. What was she taking over? I don't remember.
I think they just because they own so much stock, like they needed someone to be a representative
Yeah.
for them, and like she was gonna be that. Um,
Wait, the Junga company. She already bought them out. I can't remember why it
yeah,
was.
that was after their image was ruined from.
Gyunsu? No, Gyunwon? There was something else that happened. Oh, whistleblower.
It was the files that
Yeah.
Suwa leaked.
So Sua was keeping files of all the shifty stuff that Chairman Chang had done through all the years, and she had all the evidence that could ever be needed, and she gave it to the police and to the authorities.
Water
And
around the whole
you okay? Do you need my help? Let me drive over there. Guys, you okay? She pretty much destroyed that company.
Yes, her conscience finally caught up, and she's like, "I don't feel good anymore. So he doesn't like me. He's gonna go after. He's so one. I can't make any more dramatic speeches, so I might as well just ruin this company."
Exactly. And also, Yuseo had said to her, she was like, everything that you have ever done for Siori was either backhanded or was conditional. every single thing, including you liking him, everything I've done for him was about me wanting to help him and be there for him and take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think's better here for Saori? Is it me or you? And that was the moment when Sua was like, well, I'm trash, so let's turn this stuff in. So yeah.
I don't know. I like her little ambiguous happy ending where she hires the cute cook and she's just like, "Ooh, hello." Mm.
I don't know. I wasn't into him. I wasn't into it.
She didn't make him for you.
That's true. It's true. They didn't make him for me. It's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he bought out their company, and then
Well, we're like skipping forward a lot.
Gyun Wan gets out of jail, and he's like, my little brother has taken my spot as the successor, and my dad's a complete asshole who abandoned me. And he's like, well, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get my dad to love me.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the best idea that he could come up with was kidnapping Yuseo while she was in the hospital.
Yeah. 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 And then so like Sarah Lee suddenly is like out of nowhere, in my opinion, out of nowhere is like just looks to the sky suddenly one day is like, I'm in love with you, Seo.
Yeah.
And so he's going to see her, and then finds out that she's been kidnapped, and then you have something to say, so go ahead and say.
I personally think that he loved her all for a really long time. And other people in the group were like, we've known that you liked her. You were just really stubborn and didn't want to pay attention to that. You had your mind on getting revenge instead of love, so it's good you finally noticed.
We'll talk about it later. But yeah, he goes to visit her in the hospital. We've skipped over like a couple things.
Yeah, what did we skip over?
Well, it's like he randomly buys her a Tiffany necklace. She's just like, I like this necklace.
Oh yeah.
It sure would be nice if someone bought me this necklace.
Right. Well, that was the moment when he was realizing, oh my gosh, Yuseo has literally done everything for me, and I have done very little for her. Because Hyun-Chi was like, where'd you get that nice pen that he was like using whenever he was signing some document? And he was like, oh, Yuseo got it for me for my last birthday. And Hyun-Chi was like, what did you get her for her last birthday? And he sat there like,
yeah.
I think it's one of those things where he like didn't appreciate her, even though she was literally what was keeping their entire company afloat most of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see that.
Mm-hmm. There's some using elements, but it's one of those things where it's like he's so used to it and everything working out that he's like blind because he's got his own agenda, so he's blind to whatever she's doing. You know?
Yeah, I'll talk about more of my feelings on their situation in a minute.
Oh yeah, I've got that written down for one of our questions.
But yeah, so like he finds out that she's been kidnapped. He doesn't go to the cops because he's like, I know that there's some shady shit going on. I forget how he finds out that Jinwon's out of jail, but like he knows that he's probably
the accountant sees him on the street.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and so like he tells Sung, how do you spell his name? Sung-Kyun.
Sung-Kwon.
Sung-Kwon. He tells him, and you know they're both like they were both in prison together, and Sung-Kwon was in the little mafia. That so he kind of knows what's up because he's I don't know like if he just knows their MO or like what happened, but like he goes with him. Well, he doesn't go with him at first.
Well, he recognizes the people from the CCTV.
Yeah, so he goes on his own little investigation to find out how they're involved.
Mm-hmm.
whereas Seo, he goes by himself, and then Jun-Soo follows him.
Right.
Um, and so they find the Jinwon and the mafia guy, um, and like they have their little confrontation on the street, and they're gonna hit Jun-Soo with the car. And Seo pushes him out of the way because he's a stand-up hero guy, and of course he's like hit by the car over the edge in the same spot, it looks like, as his father.
Yep. Oh, that made me feel so uncomfortable. I'm not even kidding. And then whenever Gyun-Won is sitting there like, oh, I've seen this before. Like
This
looking
looks
at him
familiar.
down from above while he's sitting there bleeding from his head.
Yeah. Yep. So then the Jinwon and the mafia kidnap his brother and leave Surly for dead. But he is able to be saved by an ambulance because right before they left, Jun-Soo was able to call 911.
I'm wondering how the police works
114?
there. 114, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did the police work there? Because how did they know where they were? Because they were in the middle of nowhere.
I don't know. Did he say?
He didn't say where they were.
Is it like a tracker? Like, did they track his phone? I don't know.
I don't know either. Like, I don't know if that's what they do over there, where it's something that, like, the police can do automatically, where when you call the police, they're like, okay, this is where you are. I don't know if that's how it works, which it may be. Maybe that's how it should work here.
I mean, I think it does. There are things like that here. Where it's just, I don't know. You probably have to use a cell phone or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a 911 operator. I don't know.
Me neither. But anyway, continue.
Oh yeah. So he goes to the hospital. They're like, oh, he's gonna die. No. And like it's on the news. It's like Park City of IC is in critical condition after a car accident.
Yep.
And then meanwhile, they have Jinwon has taken his brother and Yuseo to a little abandoned factory warehouse thing and tied them up and is monologuing like a villain. Because that's what you do.
Yep.
Well, you're tied up, so I'm going to talk for 10 minutes about my plan for revenge.
So you know everything. And then I'm going to leave you alone so you have time to get away.
Yes, and that's exactly what happens. And Yuseo is able to get herself untied, and she's like, "You're an idiot, Jun-Soo!
You stupid dummy!
I hate you."
Why do you want to be like them? They suck.
Yeah. But they get out, and they're ambushed by the mafia guys and the older brother, and she's just like, "I'm gonna fight you," and they're all laughing, and and then she's like, "Get ready, we're gonna fight them, Jin-Soo."
I love this part.
And then she's like, on the count of 3, 1, 2, and then she just runs away. She runs back
like,
down an alley.
Hold on, Quincy!
Good luck!
Well, I mean, Gwon had already told the mafia guys, I don't want you to go after my brother. Go after Yuseo, because she's the real problem.
Yeah.
So, it makes sense that she would run. Because they're not really going to be bothering him. But there was a moment when the mafia guys started going after Yoon-soo, like, pretty hardcore. They even stabbed him. And Gwon was like, that's enough. Stop that. Stop it. So there's this, like, little part of me that was like, man, this poor guy. Like, he was raised by a maniacal, like, dictator. You know, Chairman Chang. And then, well, we're gonna talk about that later. Like, the actual stuff with, Gwon.
What?
Because I have a lot of opinion on Gwon. I do. So, we'll just say that he stops the mafia guys from killing his brother. And he's like,
Yeah.
go get Yuseo, that's what I'm paying you for. So they go to get Yuseo.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Saori wakes up because he's like a Superman. And he wakes up and he doesn't have a concussion magically.
How?
And his.
No, he
What?
did. He did have a concussion. That's why he was all
Well,
like...
he didn't care.
No, he
He
didn't
did
care.
not care at all.
Nope.
Uh, he just he did the thing where he unhooked himself and he just ran out of the hospital and like his and
He's
Sung
like, I got
Hyun
business to do.
him and Sung Hyun were like, hey, he was like, hey, my old mafia friends are involved, and he's like, okay, let's go kick their asses, and they were like fist bumping, and I don't think they actually did, but like
Bro!
that's the feeling, and so like they went to go save them, and they did. They found the mafia guys trying to kill Yiso in the middle of the road, and they ran into their
Well,
car.
wait,
And
you're forgetting something. This is an important part. To find out where they were, Siori had to go to Chairman Chang in Chairman Chang's
oh
weekend
yeah,
cancer state. And Chairman Chang was like, if you want that information, you know what I want. Get on your knees and apologize.
yeah,
And this,
and so he does.
yeah, this is the moment where I was like, okay, he has grown so much because he never would
He's
have
just
done that
like
before.
he's just like, you know what? My family's life is on the line now, so like I don't care anymore.
Exactly.
But he does still get to him. He does his little bow and he does ask for forgiveness. And then he gets up and he's just like, and now I feel sorry for you, you dirty, stupid, dying old man,
Old grouch.
having to beg me to beg you for forgiveness.
He said something like,
Bye.
he said something like, he was like, he said something like, you're disgusting that I'm having to beg for the address to go and save someone that your son kidnapped. He said something like that, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. And he was like,
Yes.
Chairman Chang was like, how does it feel to bow? And he's like, well, it feels really shitty. And he was like, how does it feel to you? And Chairman Chang literally had nothing to say. Like, he was just kind of like... So, they get the address, and then, like Travis said, they find Yuseo in the road, and at the same time, Guanwan and Mafia Guy are coming down the opposite way. It's like a one-way road. Siori is like, Sung Kwan, step on it, smash them! So literally, they just like, whoosh, they smash their cars together. Which I was
Well,
like...
they don't smash together. What happens is they're playing chicken, and then like the mob at the last minute veers, and they slam into the side because like if they hit head on, they would all be dead.
Oh, yeah.
But like he hits like a telephone pole or something.
Oh, really?
And
I
then
thought they hit each
like
other.
they hit the side or something. Well, they hit their side. They do hit the car, but it's like the side. It's not like head on.
Yeah, I thought, I think you're right,
Because
that
like
the Mafia Guy did...
Mafia guy veers.
Yeah, he veered to the side, and then their
He
car
veers.
hit the side of the front, and then their car spun that way, and their car spun this way. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then they get out and start fighting with their fists.
Yeah! They're fisticuffs. And that was the moment where I was like, Sung Kwan is like a badass.
I know, and then it was like, oh no, he's gonna die. Because he's like outnumbered, and he's like doing his hero thing,
Yeah.
and Sarah is running after Yuseo, and I'm like, oh no, he's he's sacrificing himself.
Yeah. There was, like,
Luckily, it didn't happen.
at this point, I actually texted you, and I was like, okay, you have to tell me now. Do these people die? I don't care if it's a spoiler. Just tell me now. They don't.
No, they don't. They do not die.
It made me feel a lot better. Thank you for telling me.
You're welcome.
I was nerves. I was like, oh god.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in the end, it was Hyun Won and Seori. It was those two sitting in the middle of the street fighting, and Yuseo is like running down the road looking for the cops so that the cops know where to go. That was another question. I was like, why did she have to look to find the cops if they already knew where they were in that field? It was weird. I don't know. But anyway, the cops see her, and while they're heading down the road, that is when Seori does the final blow. And then that's when Yuseo and Seori start hugging, and then Seori's like, I love you! I was stupid! I love you! I've always loved you.
Mm-hmm.
So, love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then after that, it's just like, it's them finalizing their buyout of Jenga, having a little press conference where he's just like, you know what, from now on, people are important.
Mm-hmm.
And Jin-Soo's there, and he's just like, I just wanted to see everything end. I just wanted to see you guys take over, and
he voted for him too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Miss Kang is going to be the one that takes over Jenga.
Miss Kang is going to be the president or CEO of Jenga now that it is under IC.
Mm-hmm.
And Suwa quits because she didn't like her conscience finally caught up with her, so she's doing her own thing now. She opens up her own restaurant,
mm-hmm.
and she has a little happy ending where she hires a cute chef, and she's flirting with him. She's like, hello.
She's like, I would like to make out with you after you prepare these noodles. Thank you.
I know. but Hyunji and Yuseo come to visit because like Yuseo's like, this is a hot new restaurant. I'm gonna spy on them and steal ideas. And then she sees it's run by Suwa, and they have one last little stare down. They're like, she's like, well, I'm dating him now, and Suwa's just like, okay, yeah, good for you.
Suwa's like, congrats. Do you want to come in and look around?
I'll give you free food. It's fine. You can come in.
Come on in.
And she's just like, no, we're leaving, Hyunji.
And Hyunji's like, I'll come back later. Yeah. Oh, and then Chairman Chang goes to Donbon.
Oh yeah, that actually made me feel bad for him in a way, even though he'd been evil the entire time. Like
mm-hmm.
he's like, he actually gets on his knees and is crying, like against the ground, just like, oh please.
Yeah. He's like, please forgive me. I was an asshole all of this time. This is after Seori gave him a free meal.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, this is delicious. It tastes like your dad.
But it's also the one time where Seori is like, he's full circle in his businessman CEO like evilness. He's just like, I don't forgive you. You're going to jail and you're gonna die. It's like, oh.
That was that moment where I was kind of like, yeah, I get it.
I mean, yeah, I get it. Like, he'd been the source of trauma his whole life.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's like, wow. I should feel kind of bad for this old man for half a second.
I get what Seori was saying to him. Like, he was like, the only reason you're here saying this is because I won.
Yeah.
If I hadn't have won, you wouldn't be here. Do you think I'm dumb? So, I don't accept your apology.
Mm-mm.
So, I can't say that I blame him. You don't have to accept every apology that comes.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I probably would have been nicer about it. I'd be like, I acknowledge your apology, but I don't accept it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
I probably would have been like, it's fine. I probably would have said something like, I accept your apology for me, not you. Because I have to let this go. And you are a stupid, stupid idiot.
Yeah. And then it ends with Sari and Yiseo being a couple and being a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're smoochies.
Yeah.
3 different smoochies. I wish that they hadn't just like waited till the end for there to be a smoochie from them. Like, oh well, Shiori no was kissed by Yiseo when he was passed out, and I was like, oh no, girl, don't you do that.
Don't do it!
That
Don't
is consent issue number 9. And she actually said something to Sua about not kissing someone without their consent, and I was like,
Yeah, yeah. Because they were drunk and she was trying to kiss them, and she just like smacks her face. No! No!
yeah. And I was. This was after she had planted a good big old smoochie on Shiori, and also Shiori had never kissed anybody before, and I was like, "Girl, you stole it." I mean, you were gonna get his first kiss anyway, but you shouldn't have stole it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, also, we mentioned it a little earlier, but also towards the end, Hyunji and old boy went on a date, even though they didn't say it was a date. It was a date.
It was a date. They went to the movies.
Because he was like, I had an extra ticket. I didn't want to go alone.
You wanna go with me?
You know.
That's the shy man's asking out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and also Tony is now like the main manager of the restaurant, and he can speak English.
Yep, really well. Like really well.
Yeah, well, I mean, the actor's actually American.
I know.
He's from Tennessee, not
right, right. But yeah, it was a good show. It was a really good show.
It was good.
It.
My main gripe was I just don't like Sari and Yiseo together. I don't. And the reason for that, and you've explained it well, but like I am a firm believer that if you are not in the right headspace for a relationship and no means no, then it means no. Stop pursuing him. You know, maybe wait until later. Like maybe if the 5-year jump happened and then like he's in a better headspace, you can pursue him then. But you keep going after him. You and Yiseo and Suag keep treating him like he's just this man prop, which, by the way, is kind of nice, I guess, because that's the way women are treated a lot.
Right.
But like they've made up their mind like he's gonna love them, and like he doesn't care. Like he's doing his own thing.
Yeah, he's like,
focused
I'm focused on business.
He doesn't want a relationship, and I believe that with his whole heart that he does not want a relationship. Every time he says that no to both of them, and I feel like they should have at least respected that. And I know that they won't because it's a TV show, it's drama, whatever.
Right.
But that's why I don't like them ending up together, because I feel like Yiseo was so persistent to the point of stalking, and if it was the reverse and it was a guy doing that to a girl, it would be a different story. And I feel like you probably would be like, he's gross and I don't like it, you know?
There were a few times where I was like, girl, you need to cool it. Because, I mean, like, her kissing him made me super mad.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not acceptable. He is passed out right now. If this was a role reversal, no. People would be up in arms. And then the other part that, well, I will say that she never actually fully acted on the fact that she liked him, you know what I mean? But she would just randomly say to him, I love you, boss. I love you, you know? So...
Yeah, but like, I also... Like, when she said that, he would always immediately say, and I know maybe at that point in time he was starting to have feelings for her, but he would still say, hey, that makes me uncomfortable, please don't say that.
Yeah, exactly.
And she would still say it. And, like, I feel like even if he has feelings for her, if he's going to say, but I'm still uncomfortable with you saying that, please don't say that, you need to respect that. And, again, it's a TV show, I know, but fuck. Yeah. Like, that's why I couldn't get behind it 100%, because I'm just like, he's telling you all these explicit no's. Maybe you can tell, because you've known him for long enough, that he doesn't necessarily mean it, but you still need to respect what he's saying.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
And you know what? With the way that Shiori works, her, like, going against his wishes probably stopped him from coming to her sooner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he is a very stubborn person. And if you keep at him, it closes him off. You know? Like, he's fully aware that he needs her. He's fully aware. And he's fully aware that he loves having her around.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not in the headspace or in the want for love because he's so hyper focused on what his agenda is. His 10-year plan, his 15-year plan. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, I felt the same way whenever she was doing that stuff. There were instances, though, where I saw that he liked her. Because he would, like, put his jacket on her, or he would sit there and smile at her and just kind of watch her for a little bit. And it's one of those things where, like, the rest of the group, whenever he was doing that, they kind of were like, they kind of gave the face of, we see you, we know what is happening, but you're oblivious to it, you know? So, it could be one of those things where you don't realize what you have until it's gone.
Yeah.
Because her getting kidnapped or her getting sick raised a lot of questions for him, like, oh my gosh, everything in my life has been so much better because of Yeseo. And I've literally made her think that the only reason I want her around is because she's competent at business.
Yeah.
And not even because she's my friend, just because she's competent at business. And it's one of those things where also he was sitting there, and it was whenever, who was it? Was it Seung-Kwan? Whenever he was reading this thing that, yeah, it was Seung-Kwan. He was reading something that Yeseo had put together of, are you in love with someone? And started asking all of these questions about, hey, who is it you think of when this happens? Who is it you think of when you're happiest? Who is it you think of when you were down and they helped you and stuff like that? And every single time his head went to Yeseo, and it was, I think it was eye-opening for him because he got to see all the things that she was doing for him, and he was doing very little for her because his head was on revenge. And then him, Seung-Kwan reading that out loud, and every single one of those questions were answered with something from Yeseo. And he was like, ah, shit. I do like her.
I just wish that they built up more sooner with him.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I don't, because, I mean, I guess it's fair, but most of that happened at, like, the last 3 episodes. Like, it was just all very rushed, like that. And maybe, you know what, it was like a 4 or 5 year jump. Maybe he had more instances that we didn't see.
Exactly.
But we didn't see it. So I, as an audience member, I didn't feel the chemistry until the end when they were explicitly being like, we are a couple now. And so, like, I wish they dropped a few more moments for him. It doesn't have to be, like, hardcore, explicit, obvious, but just a few more moments, because they were so focused on him just being laser focused on his revenge and his business that any interaction that he had with Iso and Suha, like, it was just, it was non-existent. They were fighting over him, but he just was not even aware of it. And that's why, like, like I said to you before we started, I wasn't shipping him with Suha either. I just kind of wanted him to end up either by himself and happy, or, like, maybe starting a relationship with Yiseo, like, not full on we are boyfriend and girlfriend, just like showing that, okay, my spirit is calm now because I got my revenge. I can now live my life and be happy. Hey, would you like to go out, Yiseo?
I agree with that. I do. I agree with that. And I mean, like, if they had given us a little bit of tension between them at just random spots, it didn't have to be a lot. It could have just been, you know, them being together out late, and there's a tension between him and her, not just a tension from her.
Yeah.
You know, because the times we saw, it was always him passed out.
Yeah, it was always
touching
her
him,
staring longingly at him.
Yeah.
or like either when they were talking or when he's passed out or something, and like it's
Oh, that's a
I
good
there's
metaphor, though.
yeah, but
That
like
is such a good metaphor. He's
there's
sleeping on it.
so there's this podcaster that I listen to all the time. She does like Buffy, Marvel, and
Hmm.
she also has a podcast called How Story Works, where she talks about writing stories because she's like a writing professor. So like she it's a whole podcast about writing plot and characters and stuff. Her name's Lonnie Diane Rich, and so she always says when she's talking about the thing like Buffy or Marvel or whatever she's talking about, she's always talking about when she's critiquing things, show don't tell.
Hmm.
So like I think
It's
that's the problem I
important.
have with Yiseo is that they told me that she's in love with him. They didn't really show that they were in love with each other. They just told it to me. And
Hmm.
so like I had a harder time catching on because they didn't really show it to me. And I know that like a lot of people if we have people listen to this and they're fans of the show and they're like, "Oh, you're blind." Well, you know, like like we said, they just showed Yiso be the one
Yeah.
with the lung. They didn't really do it with Sari until it was later on or too late.
They did it. They did it a couple times. They did not do it much earlier. Just a couple times. But I will say that I agree with you that they should have shown it more. Just give
Yeah.
us a little something to chew on because, like, I mean, he was definitely a lot closer to Yoseo than he ever was to Sua,
Hmm.
ever. And I see the closeness between them and that he completely trusts her, which is something that he doesn't do with a lot of people. It's only the people that work at his little company, you know?
Yeah.
And he's constantly telling her, I trust you the most, which I think to him is love, being able to
Yeah.
trust someone, you know?
But like that's also something that's not necessarily romantic
Right.
to I mean maybe that's romantic to him,
It
but it's not
probably
to
is.
everybody. Because like for most of their interactions, what I could have rated at what I did read it as for most of the early episodes is that he just thought of her as kind of like a plucky, annoying little sister that actually was really good at her job.
Yeah.
So like that's another reason why like when suddenly they're in love, I'm just like I'm bothered by this because like
Yeah.
he did like that's the kind of energy he gave to the situation.
Right.
Uh, I don't know. I mean, again, maybe it's because he's hard to read because he's
Yeah.
so closed off.
He's
But
extremely stoic and he's very he like you said he's very closed off with his emotions because he's probably scared of emotions, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because emotions is what got him put in jail. Emotions is, you know, the only thing that he's not scared to show is anger,
yeah,
you know? And he always has to like pull himself back from that.
because he ain't trying to go to jail
Yeah, he
again.
don't want to go to jail. But like, but when you think about his storyline, it makes sense that he would not be a very romantic or touchy person. You know what I mean? Because like he got kicked out of high school. He had never ever kissed anybody, and it's one of those things where it's like, when would he have had time? Because when he was in high school, he got kicked out. Then he went straight to jail. You know, and then right after jail, he's like, well, now I'm determined to get X, Y, and Z done. I don't have time for this, you know? So it's, and it, in, like, in, over there, it's not uncommon whatsoever for someone in their late 20s, early 30s to not have kissed anyone. It's not uncommon.
Mhm.
Which, so when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. He's got other things to do. And there's a lot of people that won't actually go for any romantic relationships whatsoever until they've finished college or until they've done this or until they've done that. So there's prestige is a very big thing that people
Yeah,
are looking for. So it made sense to me just thinking about the culture that he's not going to allow himself to have that love until he's got his destination, you know, like he's at his goal.
hmm
So, I don't know. I think on some levels, I do agree with you that she should have respected the things he was saying. But I think on
Yeah.
another level, he needed that.
Mm.
You
And
know?
I get that she's also a sociopath, so she's going to disrespect people's feelings. Uh,
All the time.
it just, it just bothers me on a personal level,
Yeah, I get it. I do.
Like it's fine, do what you want, but like on a personal level, like if somebody was that persistent with me, people have been that persistent with me, and it's turned me off. I'm just like, I need you to stop, please.
Nobody's ever been that persistent with me.
I've had someone that like found out that I was single and like just immediately was like trying to push me into a serious relationship, and I was just like, whoa, this is a lot. I can't do this.
Yeah,
Please
that's
stop.
not good. That's not good.
So I have a thing about boundaries, and like if I say something, please respect it. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it'll change in a while. Maybe I will get to a place where I'm ready to do something. But until that happens, I need you to back off, right? Um,
Absolutely.
so so that's why it bugs me personally.
No, I
Uh,
completely get that. Totally.
so that's why I wasn't on board with them as in game.
Yeah. I get
Um,
that. I get it.
you know,
But
I
there is still a part of me that wonders if he did need that constant reminder that hey, someone does love me out there.
hmm
You know, because like again, he hasn't really had love. And
yeah.
he's definitely not a teller when it comes to that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like he's just and he's
Yeah.
constantly battling moral agenda in his head too.
Well, he's not even battling moral. He's just like, these are my morals.
Right.
You can meet them or not, but I'm going to stick to mine.
There was something that he had said that I was kind of like, is that why he never went for her? It was whenever Seore and Kyung-Soo were sitting on that little bus bench, and Seore was like, "Do you still like Yuseo?" And Kyung-Soo was like, "Yeah." And Seore was like, "It's really awful of me to want this." And
hmm
I feel like that was partially why he never went for her because he said that it's awful for me to do this to such a good friend or something like
Yeah.
that.
I
So
mean, there's that. There's also the fact, and they keep saying it's an excuse on the show, but I can understand it being like a genuine concern for him
mm-hmm.
is that he's at least 10 years older than her.
Yeah.
Uh, and that could make him feel weird. That could also like when you're in your 30s and someone is interested in you in their early 20s, it might not seem that big of a deal, but it is because they're in a completely different mental headspace than
Absolutely.
you. And also, I mean, like maybe she's a little bit more mature now because like she's a business lady.
Yeah.
But still, like I can understand that being like a weird thing for him. And like she kept because like he kept saying that explicitly to her. He's like, "You're too young for me," and she just kept telling him that's an excuse. And I'm just like, "Well, not really.
Is
Like,
it though?
no,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
there's lots of little 19, 20-year-olds that are always flirting with me. I'm just like, you're a child.
It's a legitimate worry. It really is.
It just
Because
it
I mean, you have to wonder about how the relationship dynamic is going to change as well with them, you know, and the fact that she's the manager and all that,
yeah.
and he's
Well,
the
like
boss.
also, and I'm sure this isn't going to be a problem for him because I don't think he has any references of his own. But for me personally, like I am of a certain age and you're of a certain age, and like we have references we like to make with our jokes and like our sense of humor, and like
Mm-hmm.
a younger person's just not going to get that.
Yeah.
And like I can't be with someone that's not going to get my references. That's not going to laugh with me about things. That's going to be like, "What's that?" No,
Right?
no.
Right? It's like, you haven't watched Buffy? Oh.
No.
No, I don't really want to either.
I don't like old TV.
Old TV is stupid. Yeah, I completely hear this, 100%. And like to me, whenever he kept saying that, and they were like, "Good excuse," I was like, I had the same reaction as you. I did. So I completely see what you're saying for several of these things. I do. I do.
Yeah.
100%. 100.
I,
100. But can we talk about for just a second how I called almost everything that happened in the show?
and I just had to react with like funny gifs and emojis.
Like I kept texting you. I was like, when is she gonna get kidnapped?
I didn't want to like spoil it, but like at the same time,
Those little emojis of this, they told me everything. Told me everything I needed to know. I was like,
well,
yup.
because like I'm a bad liar, so I don't like to lie. So I'll just have fun with it. And like if you guessed it and you're asking me to spoil it for you, you can't blame me.
Oh, what all did I see coming?
Her kidnapping.
Her
Let me-
kidnapping. I knew that was going to happen. The minute that she did something against Gwon-won, I was like, oh, she's going to get kidnapped. What happened? What? What?
Oh my god. This is not K-pop related at all.
What? Who died?
I am in shock right now.
Who died? What?
The Black Panther actor died.
What? Like the main guy?
Yes.
What? Oh my god. What happened? He was
I don't know.
really young.
Twitter's not working for it's like crashing.
Hold on, I'm looking. He was 43. Oh my god. What happened?
I don't know. I just picked up my phone to check all of the spoilers.
What happened to T'Challa? Hold on. What? Oh my god, he had stage 3 colon cancer.
Oh my gosh.
Oh. Since 2016? When did he film Black Panther?
Probably like 2016, 2017.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
Was he just like hiding it? Oh my gosh.
Maybe so.
Because like he wanted to so badly to be the superhero.
Oh.
Oh, I hate people.
Oh, that sucks. Mm.
Well, that's sad.
That is super sad.
It's right in the middle of filming a podcast. It's...
You know what, though? This is a legitimate reaction to something upsetting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up when Black Panther was filmed. It came out in 2018, so yeah, it would have been like 2016, 2017 it was filming.
That's
That
insane.
sucks. Oh. So yeah, they started the whole thing in 2016, so he would have known that he had colon cancer the entire time. Oh.
That's so tragic because
It
that's
is.
just like you get the role of a lifetime, and I hadn't heard of this. He must have been hiding it because he wanted to do this role. Like that's
He seemed like a really nice guy too.
yeah.
Like all the interviews I had seen with him, he had this like peacefulness about him. Like he was very gentle.
Yeah.
That's sad. Hmm. Well, he did a wonderful job being the Black Panther.
Yeah.
So at least he got to, be part of his dream. you know?
Yeah, at least because like I can understand hiding that when you get your big break because you know you don't want to be replaced. You don't want to
Right.
like mess up because the MCU is such like a big thing. So like at least he got to be an iconic character because not many actors can say that.
Yeah. And I mean, if that was his dream and he got to fulfill it before this kind of happened, good for him. You know? Because that's
Yep.
not something that everyone can say. But that
Yeah,
sucks. I liked him.
I know.
Mm.
Well, now I need my text messages to work because I had to look up something.
Well, everybody's gonna remember him. That'll be good. Here, I'm gonna break the tension by showing this.
What is that?
I'm gonna break it just by showing you this.
What is that?
Oh, we can't see it. Hold on.
I can't see. It's too bright.
There we go.
Oh, it's the movie. It's. So I drew a naughty Power Ranger picture for Power Rangers
Yes, he
Day.
did. And the nippies he made will look great.
Okay, so here is my guess. Sarah is going to confess he likes Yiso, or is about to, and then she's gonna get kidnapped by somebody or something or another. I've been waiting for her to get kidnapped the entire show.
I was right.
Yep. Yep.
I
And then
called it.
oh! She was hot. I responded with the gif of the guy drinking juice.
You might be right. But yeah, okay, I called that. I called his dad dying. I
Oh,
called
you almost got something right. Well, you said, is baby brother Junsu gonna get murdered when big brother Junsu gets out?
it
So
was
he
close.
did.
It
He
was
did
close.
almost.
It was close. Very close. So I was right on the cusp of that one.
Yeah.
Well, I also said a joke one where it was Sua that kidnaps Yoseo. And we talked about them having a lesbian affair from it. That was a good one. That was a good one. What else? Uh,
You're waiting for Hyuni and little brother guy to get together.
no, I meant, not little brother guy. I meant that guy. Seung Kwan.
Yeah.
Um, who else? Oh yeah, and I knew that, Kyung-Soo was gonna be a little shit. I called that. I
You
was like,
can't run from the money. It's going to
mm-mm.
make you a bad person.
Mm-hmm. What else? Oh, I knew that that investment guy was going to be working for Mr. Chang. I knew that. I knew that right up front. I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
he already said that he knew him, and I'm
He
like,
said he knew him, and then he was so chill about him being like 5 billion won.
mm-hmm. I was
It's
like,
like, sure, okay. Would you like some more
mm,
money?
right? I was like, this is not. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I see you. I see you. And then I knew Siori was going to come back at that bar. Didn't know he was going to spray paint all over it, but I knew he was going to do something similar. Um, what else did I know?
Oh, we forgot to talk about the very end, uh, where the little bully boy gets his revenge. Or the
Oh
little bully boy gets his revenge
yeah, yeah.
because like he was the nerd at the beginning that was getting bullied that kicked all of this off, and he was his accountant the entire time. And then at the end, when Jinwan is in prison for the final time, he comes to visit, and he's just like,
Oh wait, he
"I
didn't
want
die
you to
then.
know." No, yeah, he
He
didn't die. He
didn't
was in
die.
prison. So he came to visit him. And I just want you to know that I did all this. So
I
you're
loved
welcome.
I loved it. He said it didn't start with Siori. It started with me. And now it's gonna end with me. I loved it. I was like, yes! I loved it. I was so excited for that little guy. And he's also on Bring It On Ghost.
Yeah, he's one of the little nerds on Bring It On Ghost.
Love him.
It's so cute.
Love him. Yeah. He was actually one of my favorite characters in Bring It On Ghost. He was. So, whenever, you had messaged me and you were like, that's the guy from Bring It On Ghost, I was like, yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah. It's, he kind of plays a similar character.
He does.
In a way. I wonder if that's, just a typecast.
I think so. I totally do.
The guy that plays the chef for Jenga when they're on the TV show, he's also on Mystic Pop-Up Bar. He plays, like, the Grim Reaper.
Interesting.
But, like, I looked up his IMDb, and he works. Like, he's in, like, 60 fucking things a year. Like, I guess he's gonna be in every fucking drama that you watch. Because he's just in everything.
I'm into it. I love seeing people again and again.
Yeah.
I do. I love it. I think it's great. There is, My Secret... Oh my god, what is it called? My Secret Romance? Or My Secret...
My Chemical Romance?
Yes. I can't think of what the show's called. It's gonna bother me so bad. Whatever. There's a guy in that show that I saw in like 3 different things, and I was like, I will watch all of them. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I like supporting the different actors that I see in things, especially if I enjoy them.
I think the guy that plays Sarah, he's on another K-drama that's also based on a webtoon. It's like
Really?
something secretary, something about falling in love with your secretary.
Ooh. Excuse me, boss man. Oh, why is he always a boss falling in love with his subordinates?
I don't know.
Typecasting?
But he's got longer hair in it, so he doesn't have the awful like Caesar haircut.
I'm gonna look this up.
Because you know how I feel about the haircut, because I kind of had it a little bit in high school.
You did.
Where you just cut you have like boy baby bangs. I used to curl mine.
You did. I thought it was lovely. Remember when we had the same haircut?
Your hair was still longer, a little bit. Yeah.
No,
I just posted a picture on Facebook.
So short.
I think it was at Nebraska.
It was. It was. That was when I was going through I just had long hair that was past my butt. I'm gonna do the complete opposite phase.
Yeah. It was in Nebraska. We hadn't just made it. We had made up a couple months before, but like we had a little fight and then we made up.
You always think that fight was so much longer than it was.
Because it feels so much longer.
It wasn't. It was like a month.
I think why, because it was over, Christmas break was part of it. I remember Christmas break was in the middle of it.
So it felt longer than it was.
It does feel very long.
That makes sense. That makes sense. But you know what? Even over Christmas break, we started messaging each other back and forth. I remember that. Like, we started to text each other. Not text each other. We would email each other on your old email address that I still remember the name of.
Instant Messenger.
Yep. AOL. We're old. We're really old. But yeah, I'm looking for that photo of us now, by the way. But yeah, it was totally a month, and we even started talking before the month was over, so... It wasn't that long!
I was really sad, and we fought over nothing.
It was something that Maurice had said. He had said that you had said...
Hello?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Oh, yeah, sorry, it cut out for like half a second.
Oh. Well, I'm here. It was something that that Maurice kid had said. Like you...
Well,
I found it! Here we go.
I also remember,
cuties.
because it started. I remember it started because like you were talking about being sick about something, and like I was joking because I have my stupid little sarcastic, jokey, whatever, and I always had that. And I think I said something that it was a joke, but like I was insinuating that you weren't sick, but I was joking.
Oh,
And
that
you got real defensive about it, and then Maurice did do some shit too.
yeah.
Uh,
So it was a double whammy. Yeah, I had that a lot when I was a kid, where people would tell me that I wasn't actually sick, and they would call me a hypochondriac. Mr. Bundy always did. My dad always did.
yeah,
So
and I was probably just joking.
I was just so sensitive about that. And then it turns out that I have an autoimmune disease, so
yeah.
suck it, suck it, suck it. Not you. The other people. I'm well aware you were joking.
But I cried, and my mom was. My mom came over to your house, and she's like, "Travis is crying in the car."
I remember. I remember. And at that point, I was still really hurt. So I was just like, I can't yet, but I'm gonna message him on Messenger. And she was like, okay. Like, I was like this. Whenever she came up, I was like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you guys left, I cried in the house, and I went upstairs. And
And it was just like a fight over nothing. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
our friendship is over.
For less than a month.
Here we are, like, almost 20 years later.
Exactly. We still going strong. But yeah, oh yeah, Itaewon. Oh. Uh-huh.
Is it him with the longer hair?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
He looks great.
Yeah, he said he wanted to look exactly like the webtoon character, and he didn't want to chicken out, so he got the awful haircut.
You know what, though? That's dedication.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I mean, it doesn't... His face is still very pretty. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So... the bad hair doesn't retract that much from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. He does look a lot better with longer hair. He does.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. A lot better.
Also, the actress that plays Yiso, she's in this, like, really cool-looking action movie. It's like The Witch or something.
Oh. Is she a witch in it?
I don't know, because, like, I watch these reaction channels where, like, well, I watch all kinds of reaction channels, but I also watch some Korean reaction channels where Koreans react to, like, different movie scenes, and they reacted to action scenes from America compared to Korean movies. And they watch scenes from her movie, and she's just, like, full-on Matrix fighting. Like, she heals fast, so, like, she's getting her arm broken, like, snapping back into place, and she's just, like, kicking the shit out of this guy. I'm just like, yeah, that's cool looking.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch that. What's it called? Do you remember?
It's like The Witch Part 1 or something. I don't know.
I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna look that up.
She's not been in very many things, so it's probably like right at the top of her IMDb or whatever.
I really liked her. Like, the actress did a really good job.
Yeah.
She was very compelling. She said a lot with her eyes, which is something that I always look for in acting. Like, because I feel like expressive eyes is so much better than people who do their eyebrows all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, just because, I mean, in real life, you're not going to sit there like, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to express it with your eyes because it's the window to the soul. You know?
They're the nipples of the face.
But you know, I thought she did really well. I thought she did really.
She did, and like she does smart ass well. Like, I can appreciate somebody that does that because like a lot of times, like when somebody plays that, you just don't like them on principle.
Right, but she was still likable.
I liked her because like the way that they really introduce her at the very beginning in like her psychologist, but like you don't really know what's going on then. But when they introduce her again after like she sees someone getting bullied, and it's like a mirror of Suri,
Mm-hmm.
and she just also blasts that chick. She's just like, I'm live streaming this, and then she slaps her mom, and I'm just like, ah.
I immediately enjoyed her because of this. I was like, yes. And I thought the same thing whenever I was watching her, like, videoing the bully. I was like, she has the same exact thought process Sayori. Interesting. Huh. She just goes about it a little differently. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Well, they said in the beginning that she was not diagnosed a sociopath, but they thought that she was a sociopath.
yeah,
And I realized that all of these characters were just going through what they were just reacting to things with how their parents taught them to react.
mm.
Because Yuseo, whenever she was like a little kid and she was running that race and she pushed that girl out of the way, her mom was like, "Yeah, do it, do it." And so Yuseo was like, "Oh, okay, so I'm supposed to do that. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be tough and I'm supposed to maybe cheat my way into things, but do it smartly." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then Mr. Park instilled um, people, caring about people, into Sayori. And then Chairman Chang,
Jenga.
Chairman Chang, he instilled fear and a dictatorship where it was a bunch of little minions that were trying to appease
Hmm.
him. And I think that he said it beautifully in the end to Sua, where, well, actually, I guess it was Sua that said it. She was like, "You told me once that you thought really low about people who did things out of fear," something like that, you know? And she was like, "Here's my resignation." And the weak or pray, or whatever that little line was that he said all the time. I don't remember what he said, but everything that he did, he was teaching his sons how to handle life. You know, like
Hmm.
he made Kwon, he made him kill a chicken with his hands, and I was like, oh god!
I know. I was so. Uh,
I
the
feel like
little
that was.
sad little sounds.
Ooh,
I
I
don't
actually
know
fast
why I'm
forwarded
not a
it.
vegetarian.
I
By the way,
am. I am. The only thing that I eat is seafood.
I can't
That's
not
it.
eat meat, but like I feel bad about it.
Well, that's where I sat for a really, really long time. Like, I was like, I keep feeling bad, and whenever I'm eating it, it makes me sad. So I was like, well, I'm not in. It tastes good, but I'm not enjoying it. So I also my body does not process proteins or B vitamins well, so I can't go. Hi, Bernie. Come on. So I
That was
can't.
a
Sorry,
whiplash.
Bernie came up and went like this to me, like hello. Um, but my body doesn't process those two things very well, so I can't cut it out completely. So I still eat seafood, but the rest of it I don't touch
Yeah.
because I don't feel good about it. I'm really empathic when it comes to animals, and it just like breaks my little heart if anything happens to them.
Oh, I
And I
know.
don't really see why a cat is any different than a chicken. You know, it's just like what Chairman Chang was saying, but mine's the opposite, where I don't want to hurt them. And I don't think of everyone as livestock.
No. Yeah.
No, no. Yeah, but I think that that was the big turning point for Wan was when he made him kill that chicken because he didn't want to. You know, like you could see it all
I
over.
think I think that broke him mentally.
It
Like I
did.
think
That was the big
that's
turning point.
yeah.
Hey, baby. That would have broken me mentally. I'll be real. Like I would not have been able to handle that. I wouldn't have done it at all.
F you, Dad.
Yeah, literally. But his dad has a lot of power, and his dad's really scary.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And he's not afraid to like hit his kids and like abandon them.
That's just been like a theme. I guess hitting your kids is like super cool in Korea. Cause like in every single show I've watched, at least one father has smacked the shit out of their kid.
Yeah. That's one of the things that um, a lot of the youth have talked about and kind of come forward about. Oh, like if they don't do well on tests, they usually get hit, with something,
Yeah.
you know?
I like how like I'm acting like it's shocking now, but like back when we were growing up, like that was considered normal too, and like I
Exactly.
got hit a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
And now like it's not considered the norm anymore, but
Exactly. Hopefully it gets away from the norm over there too.
yeah.
Because that messes with you mentally. It does. Because the person that is supposed to love you unconditionally is loving you conditionally with violence.
Yeah, it's reinforcing. It's not. It's reinforcing fear. It's not like making people want to learn. Like it's. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like I had to talk about this with my therapist
Oh, I
like a
completely
while
know.
ago.
It's not teaching them to want to do better. It's teaching them to do things out of fear.
Yeah,
I
it's
completely.
enforcing trauma.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's introducing trauma responses to outside
Yes,
sources.
trauma responses.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what it
Yep.
is. That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah. Pretty much everything I do in my life is a trauma response. It's great.
Uh, Same.
Yay! But yeah, and that's something that I really appreciated about Shiori is he didn't like that stuff.
No.
You know what I mean? Like he was the complete opposite of that, and I feel like that's why Kyung-Soo was so quick to attach himself to Shiori in the very beginning because he was like, "You're nothing like what I'm used to,"
I know.
and it makes me feel like I am important and like I could be loved. And once he found out what his family did to Shiori, I think it really upset him, number one. And then number two, I think it made him uncomfortable to have that love from Shiori.
Yeah.
Because he's like, by association, I'm guilty too.
Hmm.
You know? And,
And didn't he want to be like? Didn't he want to work for his dad? Because I mean, not just because of Yuseo, but like also because he wanted to kind of protect Sari in a way. Like I think part of like his reasoning was like he wanted to like get them off their back, but then he got involved, indoctrinated in a way.
yeah. I personally think that even when he was indoctrinated, he was still rooting for Shiori. Whether
Hmm.
or not he was doing bad things. Because again, like whenever he was at that cooking tournament, he still did a blind tasting so that,
Yeah.
it would still be fair as to who was the better chef. And he even said, he was like, Hyunji's gonna win. Hands down. You know?
Yeah.
So I feel like on some levels he was playing a role to kind of fit in with that crowd
Hmm.
and was maybe undermining the things he was saying because he wanted to be in charge of what was going on there. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of like, I mean, it's still really awful what he did to Hyunji, but I do think that even when he did that awful thing, I think he was playing to their help. Like maybe what he did to Hyunji was to keep his dad off his track or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that sees that in him, and then there's another part of me that's like he wants to have power for once because he's never had power. You know,
Power corrupts. I think
power.
it's I think it's funny what you said. He's playing a role. I think they were all of the employees under Jenga were playing a role, like him and Suwa and
Mm-hmm.
Miss Kang. Like they were all just kind of taking on roles to survive, whereas
Yep.
everybody under Sari were being themselves.
Exactly, and that's why they liked Shiori so much because he took them as they were. Like they didn't have to bend to his rules. If there was something that they thought, they were allowed to talk to him about it. Like he didn't think so highly of himself that he couldn't see past his own butt. You know what I mean?
Get the people matter more than the business.
Exactly. And
Oh,
that's why everybody turned on Chang.
yeah.
You know, that's why they were like, well, I don't want to work with you because I see Shiori over here and he's actually being nice and he's a stand-up
Mhm.
person. Why would I want to hang out with you when all you're gonna do at some point is stab me in the back?
Yeah, and they even kind of revealed some backstory later on that the old lady
Mm-hmm.
gave him an investment at the beginning, and she
Yeah.
did it because initially he started out because he wanted to run a business to feed his family, not because he wanted to be like rich and powerful.
Right.
And so she refused to help him out anymore because he changed so badly.
Mm-hmm. And I really hope. Well, it seems like from the 5 years that passed that Shiori was still had his same moral set, that it was about the people, which I'm very happy about.
Mhm.
Um, but there's still that wonder because power changes people.
It does, and at the end, when kind of passing the torch, when Chairman Jang is begging for forgiveness, he's just like, no, sorry, and like he's kind of becoming the all powerful one now. So like maybe,
Yeah.
who knows?
Maybe a season 2 will happen, and it'll be his entire workforce being like, "What is going on?
Something's going on with him.
What's happening?
It's a
I'm
musical.
I'm terrified. You're acting like Jam and Shane." I'm sorry, that was bad. But yeah, so hopefully that's not gonna happen though.
No,
But
I
I
don't
mean,
know. There,
again, he has instilled was instilled by his dad to be a good person. So
yeah, but he's also admitted like his romantic feelings for Yiso, and she's shady. So
I love her. I do. I love Yuseo. She's just like, I don't know. She sparkles. She's a little vibrant thing. I like her. I like her, and she's smart too.
yeah, she's ruthless though.
I think towards the end she was more so about the people though. You know, like I think after a while, after realizing that it was about what it was actually about and what that company stood for, I think that she adjusted her ways as well because she was taught from her mom to do XYZ, but when she got around Shiori, she was like, no, I want that. I want to be like that. That's why she liked him, because he was so different.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, like she was a social media girl,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if you pay attention to these social media girls,
Oh, I
but
do.
they are very that. They are very like materialistic, like sociopathic. Like I want it all.
Right.
So like, yeah, I guess like seeing Sarah, that's very. It would be different. It'd be like, what's that?
Yeah. What is this? What is this doing? What happened?
What's
Morals?
this?
What
What's this
morals?
nerd with this haircut? What's he doing?
What is happening here? I've never seen someone be selfless for other people.
It's so weird.
It's strange. So I have some stuff written down that I think would be fun for us to talk about. We've talked about a few things already. Um, Yoon, I wanted to talk about him because, like, I feel like he's a very compelling character.
Yeah, I think they're
Because,
all like super compelling and layered and crazy, and I like them all.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
like them all too. And, like, I know he's the bad guy. I know he is. I know he went crazy and, like, tried to murder people, but I feel like it was because of his dad,
I mean, yeah, it was. They even said it. They're just like, "Hey, you turned him into a monster,
right?
so that's your fault."
So I wonder if that would be considered the theme. Like how you raise your children is how they're going to be when they grow up. So raise them well.
I mean, yeah, because you have Sarah Lee, who's very stand like he's got his morals and he doesn't stray from them, and that's always been positively reinforced by his father. Like even when he got his father fired, he's still just like, I'm proud of you. You stood up for your beliefs.
Yeah.
uh, and then you have the opposite with Jinwan, who's going a little mad because he was forced to murder a chicken, and he's slapped around, and he's always told all of this stuff like about his failures. Like he's humiliated in front of like uh,
Everyone.
the conference room. Like he's given his little speech, like his little presentation, and they're like, "That's stupid, and you're stupid. Get out of here."
He's like
So
sitting there like, how can I make my dad love me?
yeah, and then you have like um, Sua, who didn't really have parents. She has two father figures that have opposing visions,
Hmm.
and so she's just conflicted all the time. Like, should
Yeah.
I do this? Should I do that? Should
That's
I
probably
look
why
out
she plays
for
both
myself?
fields.
Yeah. So she's in the middle there.
Hmm. It's interesting that they're all replicating because in the beginning, when Kyung-Soo was with Shiori, Kyung-Soo was taking after Shiori
Hmm.
and like being a stand-up guy and trying his best. But there was still that little piece of him that was broken from Chairman Chang, and it would come up every now and then. But it came up really bad when he found out what his family did to him, did to
Yeah.
Shiori. So that's whenever he lost it, you know, and he went to his dad. So he
I
kind
think
of he got away from that father figure of Shiori and had the new father figure of Chairman Chang, which was not a great father figure.
and maybe he just wanted to do it like as a way to try to make it better for Siori because
With him in
like
charge, he can control
with him
what's
in charge,
going
yeah,
on.
he can make it better, but
Hmm.
like then he got caught up in the system.
Right? And then with Tony, you know, he is half Korean, half black, and he doesn't have his family. So he's kind of all of these people are kind of oddballs out that are with
Hmm.
Shiori, and he's an oddball out as well. So it's with Tony, he's looking for his dad, you know, and whenever he came into Shiori's life, he was looking for something to complete himself,
Hmm.
you know, which is also again replicating a parental relationship. He's looking for something that he doesn't have, and he finds it
Yeah.
in Shiori, which I feel like that's what every single one of these characters are finding in Shiori. It's like, you're the parent I always wanted. You're the person that I want to look after me. Whereas like Hyun-Chi, I feel like I don't know anything about Hyun-Chi's past. I don't.
No, but you can. I don't think they have to explain it too much if
No.
you know
What it's
about
like.
what it's like, not only just as a transgender person, but
Mm-hmm.
like a transgender person in Korea, where it's less accepted than here, and it's not really that well accepted over here by a lot of people either.
Right.
So, like over there, she's probably doesn't have a family, or
Right.
she's been disowned, or like she ran away, like because she doesn't want to be disowned.
Right.
So, like this is her family.
Right, exactly. The chosen family.
Yeah, and that's why like the idea of her getting fired was just so scary for her because like this was like she's known Siri for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and he's probably like a brother or father figure to her as well. So
Right.
like
I feel like he's the father figure for everyone. He's
yeah.
the father that everyone wanted. Like with Hyun-Chi, she wanted someone to accept her for who she was. She wanted a parent to do that, and she got that from Shiori.
Hmm.
You know, like he knew that she was transgender from the beginning, and he was fine with it.
Hmm.
And he was like, "You're really brave, and I'm proud of you," just like a father would, an accepting father, I should say. And then with Seung Kwan, you know, he thought that his life meant nothing because he was a convict. And Shiori was like, no, you still give people value. And again, he's taking on that father role and teaching him to love himself. You know, he's teaching every
Mhm.
single one of these people how to love themselves accurately because he's being a father figure to them. So all of this entire thing is such, it's all about parents and how they morph your life into what they want. When
Mhm.
really, it should be what you want, you know? And they should be kind to you about what you want. And they should accept you for who you are. Just like what
Yeah.
Siori's doing. So, he's the daddy they all needed.
He's the daddy.
And there's times whenever Siori is around Gyun-Won, and you can see in Gyun-Won's face that whatever Siori just said really affected him.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there rethinking everything that he had just done, you know, because he was going to turn himself in after the hit and run incident with Mr. Park. He was going to do
Mhm.
it, and then his real dad was like, "No, that's not going to happen."
It's gonna make me look bad.
Mhm.
So.
So no. No.
Mhm.
But yeah, there were several times that I saw in Guan Wan's face that whatever Siori was saying, he was like, "Wow, this is something that I never hear from my dad." You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
So, he's the papa. He's the papa. He needs to, like, he's just adopting people left and right, making them feel loved and wanted.
Mhm.
Hmm.
That's why I also was kind of like, this feels like a dramatic Korean Cheers because it's like a small bar where everyone's like family.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it really is. It really is. So, I guess Yeseo would be the mom.
Mm. She's like the stepmom. She's coming like the stepmom in Parent Trap. She's coming in. She's like, I'm setting
And she's hitting sticks together to keep bears away.
you all the book.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
What did you say?
Mhm.
It cut out for a second.
What?
It cut out for a second. What'd you say?
I just said she's sending you to boarding school.
Oh, yeah. Well, once she kind of adjusted her values, I feel like she was very momish to them. Because, like, with Tony, she's like, I'm going to help you find your dad. With Hyunji, she was like, you're a diamond, you know? With Yoon-Soo, she was like, you're doing awful things, and why would I want to be around you? You know, like, she is also showing them morals in a way, just, again, differently than how Siori would. But it's still kind of the same
Mhm.
thing. It's still going up the same route. You know what I mean? She's just a little brass with it.
Yeah, she did grow
Yeah.
because like at the very end where like Junsu's leaving and he's like, I'm moving to America, but I just came to say goodbye, and
Hmm.
she hugs him and she's like, you're still like my best friend, and it was
Exactly.
just like that was nice, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, she grew a lot. Oh, and then we didn't talk about Seung Kwan. His dad was the mafia guy.
Yeah, and he has to like face him down at the end and
Mm-hmm.
tell him that he's not gonna be like him anymore.
Exactly. It's interesting. It's like all of these people are having to relearn how to actually live, and I feel like that's so true for anybody that's a youth that's becoming an adult. It's
Hmm.
literally chipping away everything any adult ever told you as to who you're supposed to be and figuring out who you want to be,
Yeah,
you know? So, it's a good show. I like it.
it's a good
It's such
show.
a good show. I know we were going to talk about Guan Wan, but I feel like it went in a much cooler place where
What?
Siori's a daddy.
I like
Papa?
I like a show with it makes you feel something for all the characters, and but they're all different. It's not
Right.
like I think it was a good exploration of these different characters. I don't think all shows really do that.
Right.
Like because like with the other, especially the other K dramas I've watched, it's been very like formulaic. It's been very. I mean, maybe it's just because the other three ones that I've watched, plus My Hollow Love, which I'm watching now for
It's
you.
so cute.
Like it's been very, the characters aren't characters. They're filling archetypes for the story
Right.
that's being told. It's like, oh, the girl that can magically see ghosts, the ghosty boy, or the ghosty girl, and the Bring It On Ghost. The surly old person, the nerds. It feels like that's in everything.
Yeah. It's they have a very specific role to play.
Yeah, but it feels like any one of these characters could have been the lead of the show.
I agree. And there's several times where they make them the lead of the show. You
Mhm.
know? Like they're like, just because Shiori is the one that's usually being watched doesn't mean that these characters aren't important, and their lives
Yeah.
mean any less. Again, it's about
Yeah.
the people.
It is. It's about the people.
The people! See, I like it when a show's got so many layers.
We love a theme.
We do love a theme. That's what we love. Where's the moms?
I don't know. I just assumed they were dead.
I was really, like, because Shiori doesn't have one, Sua doesn't have one, Gwon-Soo doesn't have one, Gwon-Won doesn't have one.
Yisa has one.
That's the only, though. She doesn't have a dad. And then Hyun-Chi doesn't have anybody. Tony's
Tony
dad's
has
dead, and his mom's, I don't know where his mom is, but he's got a grandma. And then Seung-Kwan, he doesn't have any parents. Where's all the...
That's storytelling 101. You gotta have at least one dead parent.
You have to. It's compelling.
Where are you gonna get your pain from?
My pain. That's in every single K-drama I have ever seen.
That's not just K-drama. That's just every
dramas
Disney
in
movie,
general.
every TV. One of their parents are dead.
Mm-hmm. I think it's probably because that's painful. They're like, well, how can I show that they're downtrodden without having to tell them that they're downtrodden?
And that's like I know we texted about this. We were talking about when his dad died, and I was just like, it's a very overused trope to like give pain to a man. Mm-hmm. It's like their dad or their mom or their mentor, teacher, or whatever they died.
Significant other.
It's got a term. It's called fridging. It's when you take. It's usually like a female love interest, but it can be like another character, like a parent or a mentor. It's called fridging, and it's when you just kill a character, usually for the sake of a male, to have an emotional arc.
Yeah.
But there's other things you can do. Like you can keep them alive. You can just like have them have a bad relationship with their parent. Like you can do other things. But like also that goes on another trope, which is daddy issues, which is also another big source for male characters' pain, we just gotta find new pain for men.
it bothers me that they can't just have males be emotional in general. There has to be some reason.
That's true, yeah. Like they can't show any emotions unless something's made them cry.
Right? And it's like,
I cry a lot. I am gay, but whatever.
You know what? That's perfectly acceptable. Everybody can cry. I think it's actually very important for people to see vulnerableness in men, because it's such a overlooked necessity, I
mean, I think that's why men are so much more prone to violence and like crimes and rage and stuff is because like they don't have anywhere to put their emotions until it finally blows up.
Exactly. I
You
agree
know, it's of
100%.
toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that I am grateful for being a queer person is that I just like the worst thing that somebody can say to me for showing my emotions is that I'm gay, I'm a faggot, I'm whatever, and I am. So like that doesn't bother me. I'll cry if I want to.
It's like, is that supposed to hurt my feelings?
Yeah, I
Because
know.
I'm cool with the fact that I'm this, you know?
You know, if you're gonna call me feminine, who cares? Like, there are worse things to be than feminine. Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
When we respect women, like your mom's a woman. She made you. Shut up. Be feminine.
Exactly. And we shouldn't even have to bring up the fact that they have a mom or a
I
sister.
know.
It should just be an automatic thing of, oh, this is another person. I should respect them and love them and not be a douchebag.
Yeah.
You know, like there shouldn't have to be a reference to someone that they know. It should just be, you know. But it's not.
Yeah. Masculinity is stupid.
I don't think masculinity is stupid. I feel like the
I do.
masculinity. Well, let me finish. I feel like the masculinity that society has made is stupid. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I feel like there's a right way to be a masculine person and then there's a toxic way. And I have seen a lot of good masculine people. Like Siori is a great example
Yeah.
of a good masculine person, you know? But I mean, then you've got Gyun Wan, and he's the example of the toxic one, you know?
Hmm.
And again, it's because he wasn't allowed to have feelings from his dad. And then Mr. Park allowed Siori to have feelings, you know? So, let your boys have feelings.
I know. They'll be so much better at everything. They will make better members of society. They will make better husbands to whomever they
Mm-hmm.
choose because they will be in touch with their emotions and they'll be
Exactly.
able to communicate and not have like weird breakdowns over shit because they can't control their emotions because they don't know how to use them.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's what causes a lot of like narcissistic people too. Is the fact that like they're not allowed to show emotions, so they lie about everything.
Hmm.
So they're like, "Oh hey, I know I hurt your feelings, but you shouldn't really be showing emotions right now, so you're being dumb." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, we need to adjust this. Like every single society needs to adjust this. We need to allow men to have feelings. And no, feelings is not a feminine trait. Every single living person, even cats and dogs and moose, they all have feelings.
Reese!
Nieces. But yeah, every single living thing has feelings. Even trees freaking have feelings.
I know, that's so like upsetting.
That we cut them down and we make houses out of them.
Yeah, like yeah, vegetarians, you thought you were safe, but apparently plants have feelings too.
They do. They do. Any
So
living
what are you gonna
any
eat?
living being. Well, yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where you're like, okay, well, I have to take the lesser of the evil. You know what I mean? You're like, well, I'll eat these plants, but I don't feel good about it.
Sorry, bro.
Sorry, I'm gonna chomp ya. I'm gonna chomp ya. But yeah, it's just, I mean, for people who don't know, for trees, why I say trees have feelings is whenever there's a group of trees in the forest and one of the trees gets cut down, all the trees around it will turn their roots towards the tree that got chopped down, that just has a
Mhm.
stump left, and send nutrients to it to keep it alive.
Yeah.
There,
Well, I think there actually has been like scientific studies that show that plants can feel things.
mm-hmm.
They just they can't communicate it, but they can feel it.
Exactly. They can feel it 100%. And it's like, and like people are always like, oh, animals don't have feelings, blah blah blah. And I was like, well, then explain crows. Why do crows have freaking funerals for their friends? You know?
I mean, I think anybody with a pet that has ever had a pet will know that animals have feelings.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, there was one time that my mom didn't give our dog a treat on Christmas. And she was sitting over in the corner, like tears going down her face, like, and like I looked at I know, right? And I like looked over at the doggy and I was like, oh. And I looked at mom and I was like, did you give her a treat? It's Christmas. And she was like, oh, I forgot to give her a treat. And then she runs into the other room. Well, she didn't run, but she walked in the other room and like wrapped a little doggy bone and put it down in front of her. And that little puppers was so happy. Her little tail started wagging. She started ripping the little thing open. They have feelings. They have feelings, you guys.
You. I just want to hug all the animals now. Sorry,
I know.
No, I just want to hug animals.
Come over, you can hug Babette.
I know, but there's a plague and I have allergies and anxiety.
Yeah. Fry is beneath my feet, being a good boy.
That's shocking. Usually he's like, I'm the third host of this podcast.
He like gets in the camera.
Meow. I'm going to recite a meowy monologue while
He
I
doesn't
show
even
you my
like
butthole.
meow. He yowls.
Yeah. Remember when we had like a whole podcast we had to scrap because he meowed so loud during it?
I do remember this. I remember that, and I remember when we had the Rodmans over and they were talking about his comic, and he jumped up on the table and unhooked the back.
Deleted like the entire first 30 minutes of a podcast. Yeah.
Fry. He's my little pudgy baby.
I love him. I do love him.
I love him too. I love him too. Alright, I'm gonna look and see if there's anything else. I already talked about him being autistic, which I still think he is.
I think that's actually a valid observation.
Yeah. I 100% think that he's autistic. And I mean, like, I'm really tired of seeing autistic people portrayed as, like, asshole jerks that just, like, don't...
Or, like magical human calculators.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like,
I know all of the science because I'm autistic.
Exactly! And it's like, come on, guys. Come on. But I've... You know, if he... To me, he is an autistic character, and he's such a good one.
Yeah.
You know, because that moral standpoint that he's got, and this, like... He cares about people, and he has to calculate how to help people. Like, you can see it in his head, like, whenever Giseo is, like, sitting there on his leg crying, after, like, she sees the scar on his arm, and he's like, why are you upset? I don't understand. Like, he didn't understand the emotional point that she had. Like, why she was crying and why she was upset about the fact that he had such a hard life.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of... He sat there for a couple of minutes, just kind of, like, staring, like, what do I do?
Yeah. Me, I would do that. Like, it's just a scar. What? What?
Why are you reacting like this?
It's healed. And pat.
It's like, it was a long time ago. But yeah, whenever, like, she still just sat there crying and then said, like, it must have been such a lonely life, he was like, yeah, a little.
I mean, sure.
Like, quite literally, like, his reaction was very, like, why are you upset about this? I mean, I'm, alright, what? and then he just, like, very slowly, after calculating for a few minutes, he's like, I should console her. And then this is like her back, and he's like this.
Yeah. patting it lightly. Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. Stop cry. Stop cry, please. But that's like my little nephew. He's autistic, and that's how he calculates. Whenever he sees someone upset, you can see him. He wants to help, and he knows they're upset, but he's like, "What do I do in this situation? I don't understand why they're upset, but I." And he, like, you can see the inner workings happening in him, and you can see and you can feel that he's feeling a bunch of emotions, but he doesn't know how to relay them, and he doesn't know exactly what's going on with this person. So he's calculating in his head and working overtime to just try and give any amount of love that he can give, because he knows he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's complicated. It's complicated, but there's love in there. There's love in autistic people. Please stop showing them as not having love. People. But yeah, I think he's autistic. And I love him. I love it. Hold on, I'm gonna ask you one thing. If you could have anybody date anybody in the show, who would you have date? Does it matter?
Hyunji,
Huh?
Hyunji and Sengwan.
I think they already are.
I mean, like, if it's not canon, it is now, like, in my head. Like, they just, yeah.
I agree. That would be
Yeah.
that would be my answer as well.
That's the main one. That's because they have such good tension, and like you can see it in his face. Like, he's confused at first, but then he's just kind of like, you can kind of see his face journey where he's like, towards the end, he's kind of like okay with it, and he's just like, you know, maybe I like her. I don't know.
Well, sort of, kind of, yeah. I like how they evolved his character. I do, because like, even when he was confused, he was never mean to her about it.
Yeah.
You know, like, he accepted her.
He did. Like, you could see him kind of evolve, like his behavior evolving as well, because like he would like kind of like tease around with her and like joke around with her and stuff, and like whenever he'd say something that might be mildly offensive, like he would check himself on it and like correct himself later. So like, I don't know, it was nice. I liked them.
Nice.
I liked them together.
Yeah, and like, Seung Kwan saw Hyun-Chi as a human. You know, it didn't matter what gender. You know, like, she was a human to him, and he was attracted to that human, you know?
Honestly,
even when he didn't want to admit it, he was attracted to that human.
I mean, honestly, I was expecting him to be just like immediately into it after the club. Like, just
too.
be like,
I was like, what's he gonna
he'd
do?
be like, well, this is a little weird, but I'm still into it, so.
I'll be honest, I think he was, but he didn't voice it.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted to be on that. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I think he was all about that lovin's.
He just didn't know how to process it yet, but he was into it. He just didn't know how to process it yet, but I think he got there by the end.
He did. He did.
They just couldn't say it explicitly because it was in Korea, and they're not ready for it yet on the TV.
But you know what? I see so many shows now that are having transgender characters in it that are coming from Korea, and I think it's lovely because it's showing me that they're thinking about it, and
they are thinking
that they're seeing them as humans.
God, they're slipping as much as they can on the television without being told they can't. You know, like, I feel like these are younger people making these TV shows now, so like it's just like they're okay with it. Like, you know, they had the gay bartender that kept showing up every couple episodes. It was just kind of like a little bit character every now and then. Apparently, he's like a really famous like comedian, like for being like a gay comedian.
Familiar. He looked familiar.
He's just like a well-known gay comedian over there. Like, he's one of the I don't want to say like Ellen because Ellen is the devil, but
I love
he's
that
like
our podcast about Ellen became true.
because we can read people. Like,
Exactly.
um, but yeah, like he's like a well-known gay celebrity over there. So
You know why we can read people, right?
because we're empathic,
Mm-hmm. And you know why we're empathic, right?
trauma.
Trauma!
I
It's one of those things where we see little pieces of a puzzle and
know.
we already know, oh, you're bad news.
This person doesn't feel right. I don't want them. I don't want to talk to them.
Exactly. This feeling is familiar from you. Hard no. So, if you were one of these characters, who would you be?
Mm, probably. Well, I see a lot of Siri in myself with like uh, the inability to understand certain things. Like being like, what are you talking about? What's going on?
Wait, hold on a second.
You have a crush on me? That's weird.
No, you don't.
So definitely him. I don't know. Probably mostly him. Not trying to say that. Oh, I'm the star of the show, but like,
I didn't take it that way. You know, you're gonna identify with who you identify with. There's nothing wrong with that.
but like I will say I'm not as confident or sure of things as he is. Um, Probably I'm more of Hyunji. That just very kind of like I know I have potential, but I'm scared of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like I need people to constantly tell me I'm good at something.
I think that's one of the reasons why you and I get along so well. Is because we both have each other's backs with that. We're like, you're great at this. You got this.
I need people to tell me that I'm good at it, and it's not like an ego thing. It's just like
It makes you feel more confident.
I'm just like I have self confidence issues with certain things.
I do too.
I, you know,
Yeah.
but like also like part of my mind is very practical, and I'm just like, if I'm not doing good at something, why am I wasting my time doing it?
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm constantly like tricking myself and gaslighting myself and being like, don't do it anymore, you're terrible. So that's another reason.
I hate those stupid little liars in our heads.
Yeah.
Ugh. Imposter syndrome is the worst. It really is. It is terrible.
Yeah.
If you don't know what imposter syndrome is, look it up.
I do.
It's this little
I
voice, not you, but it's anyone watching. It's that little voice inside your head that says you're not good enough, and that you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. So, look it up and look up how to stop it if you have it. Yeah, but I could see you guys being I could see you being those guys.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Me. I think I'm a hodgepodge.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely see some Shiori. Because I am the same way as him when it comes to people making decisions on their life. I understand that their circumstances are different than me. And I accept, the things that they've had to do or the person that they are without them having to prove to me that they are worthy of me accepting them. I don't care about those things. Because I see people as people, and I want everyone to know that they're okay to be around me.
Yeah.
Shiori I'm very much so like Shiori in that sense, and also I do have a very high sense of moral when it comes to standing up for people.
I also think you're like him in the way that usually when you say you're going to do something, you at least attempt to do it.
It's true.
Because like honestly, half the stuff that we've done together, you've been mostly the one that makes it happen. Like whenever we started our other podcast, all of those cons and interviews and stuff, that was all you. So like you set your mind to it, you did it. That's you're more of a go-getter than I think maybe even you give yourself credit for.
That's probably true. Because I'm always like, well, I failed. And then I just hyper focus on the fact that that didn't work out. I'm like, well, here we go. But you are right. Even when I do fail at it, I'm like, well, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
That's true. That
You
is
at least
true.
set your mind to things and have some sort of plan for attempting to do it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I do see a lot of him in me. I might be a little bit like Yuseo,
Hmm.
and the fact that she is very good at planning things, and um, she sees potential in people
Hmm.
and wants them to achieve things. I do not. I'm not blunt like her. I actually believe in Siori's standpoint, where telling people that they're good at something and that they can do it is way better than being an asshole about it. So,
Also, you've had similar hair before.
I have had similar hair. Oh, and whenever she loves somebody, she pretty much puts everything into them and gives herself
Yeah.
very little things. Yeah. All right. Is there anything you want to talk about?
No, I'm glad that you liked the
Yeah,
show.
it was really good. I enjoyed it, and it did remind me of our comic.
Yeah,
It did.
I felt like it would be good inspiration material because like it was kind of like it had this young hip Korean millennial vibe.
Yeah.
Uh,
It felt right. And then also the transgender character reminds me so much of Chiho. So much.
yes.
And then it's funny because there's a character in the show named Chiho, just for a second.
Hmm.
And then also there's an actor or an actress? I can't remember, but their name is Yoon-Soo, and I was like, ah, two characters, two
Hmm.
people with that names from the comic. So I think we were meant to see this.
Yeah.
I do.
Thanks for watching, K-Pod.
Yeah, thanks for watching. I'm
Goodbye.
tired. Bye.